Rise and fight.
Like almost Korean style, very decisive moves, and you know, make these like aggressive attacks that I think a lot of the foreigner scene is not, I don't want to say like completely hesitant to do, but certainly not well known for. So they do have the killer instinct that I would really like to see in a lot of players, but they have been shown to have really great solid fundamentals in the long game as well. So I mean, there's certainly very powerful contenders, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these two guys that I've basically never seen play before pull out. Especially JayStar, I was just informed he's the absolutely the oldest BSL contestant that we have in the running so far, and I'd like to see how his long career with StarCraft has, you know, kind of influenced that and brought a lot of experience with that. And then, you know, it's so much fun to see new players that you were not familiar with, and, you know, like kind of figure out how they like to play stylistically and see if there's like a big difference between the regions.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, basically. And yeah, JayStar, I think he's in his 40s, which is got to be a record for a BSL Pro League contestant, and should be a good group. We also have MadiNho, who's a longtime veteran in BSL, often making it even into a round of 8. And CadenZie, who a two-time Gosu League champ, automatically seeded into round of 24 this time around.
Yeah, I really love seeing, you know, especially players like CadenZie, who I personally have like a really big history in, but it's always nice, you know, where we have a lot of players that we have familiarity with going against these kind of relative unknowns. Will be nice to see how they stack up. I know CadenZie specifically, due to especially not, I mean, even beforehand, but especially after her long stint living in Korea, there's a lot of interesting plays that she's gone and learned. She's very timing oriented player a lot of the time, and going up against what I would assume is potentially going to be another player who has a lot of that very specific timing knowledge is going to be really interesting. We are starting off the day with like the similar type of matchups where you have PvTs and then a ZVZ being one of those matchups where it's like really very super specific when it comes to the timing knowledge and control and everything like that. So a Chinese player versus CadenZie, who's been very well known to be one of those type of more aggressive timing oriented players, should be really good.
Yeah, and of course the first two matches are best of 1. After that, we'll have the winners, losers, and final matches be best of 3. But in the best of 1 stage, literally, especially in a mirror matchup like this, anything can happen. And with Kid being relatively unknown, I have no idea who would be favored here, really.
Yeah, I mean, all that being said, if we look at the MMR that Kid was able to achieve, I don't know how it shakes out exactly, like what regions they're playing in, but regardless, I'm pretty sure I'm seeing 25-31, which is pretty insane. That's a pretty ridiculously high MMR to reach on any ladder. So he should be an incredibly strong player here. I have to say too, I always love when we have Asian contestants coming in with their IDs. Like it's always like some random English word. I'm wondering if like that was specifically chosen, like to be like a cowboy, like I'm Billy the Kid or something like that, or I don't know. I was like I always like it because it's so random a lot of the time, you know. So.
And looks like we're ready to jump into the first game. It's going to be a ZVZ on Ascension. All right, and in the bottom left side, we have CadenZie as the white Zerg.
Alrighty, and it looks like the top center as the dark blue Zerg, we have Kid.
Yeah, and I agree with you. There's so many random names like you get from Asian participants we see, but who knows how they end up on that name. I do kind of like it. I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to be fair, I'm sure it's like no less random than like the random like 3 Asian character tattoos that you see like surfers running around with.
Totally. All right, so neither player gonna go for 12 9 pool, I should say. Looks like we could see either 12 pool or 12 hatch.
Yeah, that's already pretty interesting. One of the absolute most popular strategies. Looks like we're getting drones out of everyone too. We have looks like a 12 hatch from both players potentially, which is pretty crazy way to start. It is a 3-player map though.
Ooh, so this is actually 11 hatch from Kid and a 12 pool from CadenZie. So 11 hatch basically plays the same way as 12. You just have one less drone, so you get the faster hatch and faster pool timing. And 12 pool from CadenZie. What? Okay, there's the gas.
Yeah, pretty conservative build orders from both players, actually. Kind of the opposite of what I was expecting, at least from one of them. Usually, we see a lot more aggressive openings here. 12 pool, I would assume, doesn't match up quite nearly as well as you would hope versus 12 hatch. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing versus 11 hatch, as you said. The lings will be a little faster to defend versus like the potential for like a 9 pool speed, but there's really no difference between the two build orders here. So Zoe starting off a little bit on the back foot as far as quote unquote like the build order rock paper scissors matchup thing goes, but at this point it's not really that big of a deal in my personal opinion once we've gotten to this kind of upper echelon of ZVZ. Let's see, do you think we're going to be seeing speed out of either of these players, or do you think we're just going to be going for layer first from both of them?
Well, it's tricky because we got to look at where the overlords had scouted. So Kid got the wrong scout. It's completely in the dark here. And he is going layer first because obviously if he was facing 9 pool, there would be lings at his neck. He's going to see the lings now. Should know that this is 12 pool, maybe an over pool, over gas, but at least he knows it's not 9 pool. And in this scenario, he should know that he's going to have the larva advantage. So all he needs to do is pull up some lings, and then if he wants to go to attack, he could do that. There's the speed finally started. Speed for CadenZie as well. Their timings about equal, and CadenZie matching the drone count. So nothing out of the ordinary here. But we are going to see a potential link timing here for Kid.
Yeah, with that early hatchery, I think you get what is it like 2 or 3 additional larvae before the hatchery for CadenZie finishes. So getting a couple of those extra lings out is going to give Kid a little bit of a timing advantage. Thing is though, these are so slim on the margins, and I'm sure as long as CadenZie stays at home and defends well with good concaves that are pre-set up before the lings come in, there should be totally fine. This is not like a totally disastrous situation, I don't think.
So we had the spire timings about equal, and CadenZie saw the extra drones pop out. And CadenZie, I saw the larva was only lings, so this could flip. The thing about Ascension is you can't go through that narrow choke, you kind of have to go all the way around through their third. Looks like we have a scouting ling here. This is smart, and this is a lot of lings from CadenZie. So Kid, well, the thing is he still has an advantage because by the time these lings get to his base, his would be popping out.
Oh yeah, he's got quite a large contingent. Very nice concave set up there at the natural expansion as well. So totally ready to absorb this big attack wave of CadenZie. CadenZie hasn't been able to check out that natural expansion. Doesn't look like either. So I'm sure she's going to run in here and back off right away, because I don't think you want to attack into that with less lings than your opponent. And yeah, we're just kind of stalling out here. Muta's about to come out here soon. CadenZie and Kid both going to have this very similar amount of gas banked up here. So we're probably just going to be moving into that aerial phase soon.
There's the spire done for both players.
Go Zerg, go CadenZie, go
And,
Zoe,
well,
go United
4
Kingdom,
drones
go
is a
BSL,
significant
go
advantage here. These extra links CadenZie made really did not help out in accomplishing anything, and it's going to come down to the next stage, the Mutalisk. But looking at the drone count, how is CadenZie going to be able to mine the natural gas? She only has enough to saturate her main and mine 3 on gas. Doesn't have any more drones.
Yeah, CadenZie could make up the difference in the early aerial battle with something like a nice Scourge connects, but the thing is that it's really difficult, especially versus a Zerg who's reached 2,500 on the ladder, to really bank on being able to get as much, that much value out of Scourge. Looks like we did get a snipe on a Overlord for Kid, so Kid is currently a little supply block, but going to be evening up that Overlord difference right now. Yeah, this is kind of a funny little situation. CadenZie almost getting out there to assist that Overlord, and that would have been really nice, as it would have stopped this supply block and saved 100 minerals, which is a big portion of minerals when you're behind on 2-3 drones.
Did make an additional 2 drones, so looking much better. I mean, it's hilarious how ZZZ drone saturation, you make 2 and then all of a sudden you're okay, whereas if you didn't have those 2, you'd be pretty poor. And it looks like we have a timing here from CadenZie. 5 meterless, some Scourge.
Ooh, nice
spikes
already.
Gotta retreat though.
Or does she?
Trying to connect the Scourge as the mutas are on top of the drone line. Wonder what the Mutalisk count. I know CadenZie has 5. Kid also has 5. Lost 4 drones there, and CadenZie's just gonna retreat. Looks like the Scourge did a lot there to buy time, and well, CadenZie's still running away. Now Kid has a superior number of Mutalisks. That link spots the Mutalisk, so I think these are pretty much gonna be unable to escape here.
Looks like we do still have 2 Scourge in the mix though. 1 Mutalisk for Kid goes down, but Zoe desperately trying to split her Mutalisk up so they don't all get moving shotted here. The micro is excellent from both of these players, but just unfortunate how that Ling was able to give Kid the information that he needed to really hard punish Zoe on this retreat. Now we're on the back foot, no spores or anything at home either, so not very much in the way of a defender's advantage. Of course, we have the Mutalisk and the Scourge spawning, so not for nothing having that little tiny bit of a timing difference, but a huge flock of Scourge come in here trying to make contact on CadenZie's Mutalisk. Not able to hit too much though, as the patrol micro is good, but finally 1 or 2 of these Scourge are connecting, and it looks like Zoe's entire Mutalisk plot gets deleted. We have the GG.
Yeah,
man,
that was absolutely critical, catching those Mutalisks, because had CadenZie been able to group up, she had the sufficient number of Mutalisks, but Kid, the way he advanced in the middle of the map really cut off the Zerg movement, and CadenZie couldn't retreat. All her Mutalisks back to her base, and that Ling also providing critical scouting information there.
Yeah, it was so unfortunate. I mean, after the initial attack where CadenZie's Mutalisk got into that main base and was able to zone off a Kid's Mutalisk with the Scourge and get a whole bunch of those drone connects, it was looking so good there for a minute, but just on the retreat, getting absolutely decimated by the main army there from Kid. Just really, it's just those things in ZVZ. Just a couple of, like, maybe 3 seconds changes the entire game. That's just kind of how the matchup is, and it just kind of sucks that that's the way it went. But man, Kid really played really well and capitalized on that. I don't even say misposition, but having that critical information there, and did a great job just cleaning up that army.
Yeah, and I mean, it was close. It was absolutely necessary he did that, because he had lost 4 drones. He was down on workers. He was ahead on mutas at that moment, because he was able to get to the middle of the map faster than basically CadenZie was able to. The retreat path just wasn't there, and nice job cutting off the Mutalisk from being able to regroup with others. And I mean, that's ZVZ. It can just end like that.
Yeah. Either way though, excellent game. It was a best of 1, so we're going to be heading on into the next matchup now in just a minute. That is a little unfortunate. Zoe going down into the losers match for me personally, just, you know, but I think that there's a lot of CadenZie fans in the chat that have been rooting for her the whole time. We've seen some donation messages in the chat rooting for her as well, so we appreciate that, guys. But the next matchup is going to be JayStar versus MadiNho. So we will be having a PvT non-mirror this time. And I'm wondering, man, what are you thinking? Have you seen any of JayStar's play at all, or is this a 100% complete unknown?
No, not an unknown, because just I guess one of the more famous Chinese players, but recently, last BSL, when JayStar had beaten MadiNho, who currently is the best Chinese player by far, JayStar 2-0'd him, and soon thereafter, he was invited to a show match against JayStar, and it was pretty close, but JayStar won somewhat convincingly, but the score at the end was 3-2 in JayStar's favor, so JayStar definitely someone with a strong PvT.
Alright, well, that's definitely good information. I mean, if he's able to go pretty even with JayStar, that's a clear indication that he's definitely still, again, once at that top kind of level of foreigners. You said that MadiNho is like by far the best Chinese player. Is that like a clear like entire tier above the other Chinese players, or just like are we talking like results wise, but maybe also because say they have their own like Chinese only tournaments, and the last 5 MadiNho won all of them. Oh no. Okay, so clearly a standout. Even still though, JayStar looking, again, just based on MMR alone, is a pretty standout player. MadiNho also quite a capable player in his own right. Do we have any information? Do you know how does JayStar play? Like, do we have any information on whether or not he is like very aggressive, does a lot of SCV pulls like we saw yesterday? Or are we expecting to see more standard macro play?
JayStar plays pretty standard, but the PvT meta has shifted radically, I would say, in the last, I don't know, 9 months to a year, where we're seeing a lot of different openers in the early game, and that leads to pretty unique looking mid games where Protoss isn't necessarily going for carriers or arbiter, they're just going into harass, and a lot of it, I don't know if JayStar is comfortable with that style, but it's definitely something we could see here.
Alright, man, I've got a question for you. Do you have any idea what JayStar's holding up in his thing? Because I don't know what it is, but it looks like a flex, dude.
I have no idea.
I am curious. MadiNho, of course, wearing the horned Viking helmet, so ready to do his whole opera thing. But it looks like we are just about ready to go on into it. We're going to be heading back to Ascension as per usual, so here we go, guys.
All right, in the 12 o'clock spawn, in the color blue, we have JayStar.
And of course, in the bottom right-hand corner, as the red Terran, we have MadiNho.
Well, MadiNho, strong player, of course. But he has a very unique style of TVP, or actually he plays unique style in all matchups. So definitely could pull something out. Really likes to go drop a lot. Sometimes just plays turtle style, really defensive, and that's one of his strengths, I would say. Coming from 2v2, you need to be really solid defensively in 2v2. Oftentimes holding off 2 versus 1 attacks. So really could see anything. Could also see MadiNho just go for a 2-fac. Anything can happen.
Is the dropship like a IRK special? I feel like I see a lot of IRK players make a lot of good use of dropships just in general.
I think it's like MadiNho, he likes drop because he has really good multitask, so he could be dropping, pressuring the front with vultures, laying mines. That's something he really excels at.
Alrighty, we do have our barracks coming down first, and of course a gateway in the main as well for JayStar. So nothing too surprising going on just yet. So please tell me, because as you know, I'm terrible at StarCraft just in general. I don't know how to play the game at all. So what are we talking about when we're talking about this like 9-month radical meta shift that you were mentioning earlier?
Well, Protoss basically has streamlined their openers to oftentimes just skip goon range and go for the faster nexus at the natural, and even getting robo after before goon range, and really just prioritizing the tech and economy over getting the dragoon range, which makes it worse against Terrans that go something like an FD or a 2-fact, but we don't see those builds anymore because they were easily deflected by just standard goon control. So in the early game, we see a lot of Protoss not putting on any pressure whatsoever and really going for robo and shuttle, speed shuttle play a lot. And then with the speed shuttle that you already researched earlier, you can transition easily into storm drops, and it can become really difficult for a defensive Terran to ever get the ball rolling, going up to that 2-1 or 3-2 timing. You just the constant pressure from Protoss. But looks like JayStar not going for that. Early Nexus gonna actually get goon range, and MadiNho, no bunker, I mean no wall, but he has the nice SimCity with the barracks and supply depot.
And it's so funny how the meta shifts like that. Like, of course, we've been seeing players able to deflect FDs and those types of kind of early aggressive pushes like 2-facts and things like that. It's just kind of like a rite of passage of being able to get up through the ladder against those type of build orders. But I'm sure like if we keep seeing Protoss players skipping goon raids and stuff like that, in a couple more months we'll see Terrans getting all kinds of aggressive again. Just kind of weird how things like work in cycles that way. But we do have the bunker finally going down here now, getting ready to secure the natural expansion here. I guess it's kind of funny, like these Chinese players probably don't really interact too much with the foreign scene. I'm wondering how much of that meta knowledge is really passed through being able to interact with our players via the tournament scene.
All right, so we actually see MadiNho made 4 Marines, which is not standard when you're going bunker expand like this. 2 or even 3 is fine because your SCV scouted there was no Zealot and the Dragoon is chasing that SCV, so you could really cut that Marine production and just go for a faster what's it called, man center, even before the 3rd depot. But because he made all those Marines, he had to go for that depot. It does allow him to deflect the Dragoon pretty easily. Sometimes Protoss do that poke in to see if there's actually a command center behind. So that Dragoon at the front should be pretty damaged actually. And MadiNho gonna get vultures out and lay some mines, just give him some map presence here. He's gotta be careful not to get caught by these Dragoons. Losing the first vulture would be catastrophic here. Looks like just barely able to get away there. But these mines are not the best mines. Don't really block an expansion from going up.
Yeah, I don't think that vulture can really afford to go on any more of a dangerous mission at this point. You can get tickled by a probe to death. Oh my gosh, he's actually coming around here, going and trying to find it. Looks like SCV was actually over there, just kind of hanging out also. But no mines left on that vulture, so not really going to be able to stick that mine down at that potential 3rd there. But you know, at least he didn't lose it.
Well, and when Terran goes vulture like this, there could be a quick starport follow-up. So Protoss has to have that in the back of his mind. We see MadiNho's actually just going into tanks. Got a turret there at the front. JayStar going 3-gate obs, which is, I mean, it's standard. 2-gate obs you can do because you know Terran isn't going to go for any kind of timing off that opener and get a quick 3rd. But 3-gate obs is going to give him a few extra Dragoons, which he could put on some counter pressure if he wants. But MadiNho is researching that siege.
Alrighty, yep. So, is this starport opener something that he does pretty often? I mean, like, of course, as you said, oh my gosh, big mine hit.
So
that's 2 goons for free.
Those mines I said earlier weren't really going to do anything. Just got 2 Dragoons. And looks like JayStar does want to put on some pressure here, but the siege mode upgrade should be done, and that bunker has 4 Marines. He said 1 vulture even get into the net. Can he get into the main to scout? This is actually huge because MadiNho doesn't have an academy. He's going to see everything. Observer, 3 gateways. So with 3 gateways, he should rule out Reaver. And
that was nice. And I think it was 2 or 3 probes as well there. Man, kind of a blunder, but just letting that vulture in. They are slipper units though, and MadiNho has been very active all over the map, just like looking for little holes to poke in and out of as well. Losing 2 goons and getting your build order spoiled though, gotta feel pretty bad as a Protoss player right now.
Yep. Gonna kill these eggs just so units can flow in and out of space a lot smoother. And we don't. I haven't seen an armory from MadiNho, like, no armory. Okay, there it is, finally. Pretty late armory. And looks like he's gonna just try to set up the 3rd base. Oh,
yeah,
or is
nice
this actually... This could... Is he actually gonna go for an attack here? Random Dragoon eating 2 mines. That's 1 less Dragoon.
Man, these random little mine hits doing a lot of work.
Maybe this is why it's emboldening MadiNho to actually move out, because he saw 3 Dragoons die, but loses a vulture there, and it's only 3 tanks. He's got to be careful. Okay, 4 tanks. And he's rallying vultures, so it looks like he's going to do a soul crawl. Maybe get to that choke.
If these tanks get all the way across the map, though, and JayStar's not even able to set up a 3rd, that would be a ridiculous way for this game to end so quick.
Ooh, we actually have a shuttle. 3 or 4 Zealots in this shuttle. This is actually huge. There's not a lot of support for these tanks, and the Zealots are already on top of the tanks. MadiNho is gonna lose everything here.
Oh man, looks like we're gonna lose 2 goons and maybe a Zealot for the entire army of MadiNho. That was an excellent Zealot bomb. Great shuttle usage there. Yeah, as you said, unfortunately the reinforcing vultures weren't able to get up into that army quite in time, so there was really no way for these tanks to deal with the Zealots at all, other than shooting at each other.
Yeah, now the vulture harass is gonna get completely shut down. Goons already in position. Well, this is looking pretty grim for MadiNho. His upgrades are late. He doesn't have a 3rd, and he lost all his tanks. That tank count getting reset really gonna limit what he can do here.
Oh man, that was super painful. I think you were right though. I think seeing all your mines blow up a bunch of goons makes you feel like maybe a little more confident than you should moving across the map there. But man, that was, I'm sure, quite a surprise as that shuttle came in and just dropped off those Zealots. These Zealot bombs are such a crazy effective strategy versus tanks. Like, it blows my mind how much of a difference it makes just getting them right on top of the army like that.
Yeah.
Another mine though.
Because otherwise, the Zealots are just too slow. They lose to Zealots, they eat mines. But if you could get them right on top of the tanks, that really shuts down any kind of early potential push from Terran. And we have shuttle drop, which I expected from MadiNho earlier. It's gonna happen now, but the thing is, I mean, JayStar already has cannon set up. The right side of his main's a little bit exposed, but the cannon should buy enough time for units to get there. But whoa, that's actually an insane 4th to take. It's in the middle of the map, so close to Terran. I'm surprised he's not taking 9 o'clock. More sensible base to take.
MadiNho does see it though, and I mean, we did see the natural expansion just a little while ago from MadiNho. He really doesn't have much of an army still set up. As you said, you know, getting a tank count reset does really limit the aggressive options that he has to punish that 4th base potentially. Later on, I'm sure that will make quite a difference, but at least right now, there's no real potential for him to move out. Good amount of probes going down here though with this Protoss, so surprising actually how many worker kills we got, despite the fact that both seen by the Nexus that was being warped in, and then of course, you know, having that cannon already there and available. But I don't know if this is quite going to be enough of a tempo swing right now to make the big difference here. I feel like MadiNho is still very clearly on the back foot at this point in the game, and he still doesn't have like a really great timing that he can put together quite yet. We're only at 80 supply at this point. Yeah,
he's basically got a turtle and get upgrades, and let Protoss do whatever they can. So harassing is smart, just slowing down Protoss's max timing, and he got something like 7 or 8 probes, which for 4 vultures is definitely worthwhile. This could definitely be the moment where the game ends here.
Oh man. Here come the Zealot bombs now.
Forcing an unsiege on some of the tanks. There's a lot of Zealots streaming in now.
Oh my gosh, there's just right so much Protoss. Oh my gosh, MadiNho slowly retreating, trying to get behind his bunker at this point. With only 3 tanks and a Goliath and 3 Marines in a bunker, that's maybe enough to clear up a quarter of this army by itself. Oh my god, there's just a huge flood of Protoss making its way into this natural expansion, and not enough siege tanks to deter these Dragoons from walking on in and starting to deal their damage. Reinforcements coming in from the factories here. Maybe enough to hold this off for a little bit, but this is catastrophic, even if MadiNho survives. Oh, the mines, though! Wow. Excellent micro here to make the most of this defense here. But again, the tank count getting reset like this, MadiNho is going to be stuck on 2 bases for a really long time and really unable to continue to stop the Protoss from putting on, or from, you know, securing more bases and getting more of this map, getting huge presence and getting all their tech up and stuff like that. Like, when do you think... I mean, the supplies have evened out here, so that's pretty good. But the Protoss army is definitely going to be replenishing soon. Looks like we're actually going to be seeing carrier here, potentially, as the fleet beacon is forming at that 3rd. Lots of things going on here. Do you think that we have a potential for a counter aggression here, or is this going to go pretty badly again?
If JayStar had taken literally any other base, I would say no. But because this 4th is so close to MadiNho's high ground 3rd, or I should say high ground area near his 3rd, I think MadiNho can actually push slowly towards that and take a 3rd. So,
oh, and the Goliaths take out the shuttle, so no longer do we have that utility there to help deal with the siege tanks in the back. So, I mean, army position-wise, MadiNho does have a really great avenue to attack right now.
yeah, his tank count isn't too high, but I think his +2 is about to finish, and we're pretty close to this base already, and it's going to be on a high ground. There's +2 about to finish, and it's going to be awkward for Protoss to engage here. Yeah, JayStar wisely.
Oh my gosh!
Can even kill some of the gateways here.
What a position, man! You totally called this. This 4th is just getting completely abandoned at this point. And you know, this is also going to allow, as you said, MadiNho to take that 3rd. So this is a really, really strong position here. And going for carriers off of, you know, only having these 3 bases now. I mean, how many starports do we have? I only saw the 1 there right now.
Yeah, so this is interesting because I think this, well, it's not a fake, because you can't go
scouted.
You can't go fake carriers. I think MadiNho is aware. He might have seen the 4 spinning earlier, but this is only 1 Stargate. So if you actually overcommit to Goliaths, then your ground army is actually super weak, because I don't think Protoss is really going carriers so much as they're just getting the upgrades.
And does MadiNho still have his dropship somewhere? Because covering, you could even cover a drop into the main with tanks on that high ground and be really, really annoying and harass that main.
The one thing is JayStar is going to take a 4th elsewhere, but they are on even bases. I don't think this is the moment for MadiNho to actually attack. I think this is the wrong call. I think his position was really good there.
Especially up this high ground would be a really kind of awkward place to take it. The army positioning right now, though, does favor MadiNho. If he can get on this little pizza slice and get himself some high ground for his tanks, it might be a much better place to hold.
Yeah, but look at his tank count, it's so low. This is a lot of Goliaths, and there's no carriers. There's 1 carrier back at the 3rd. I feel like this isn't the moment to attack from MadiNho. We actually have a storm drop heading towards MadiNho's 3rd base, which is going to be probably the healthiest base SCV wise. So this could potentially do a lot of damage.
There is an army moving over there, but not too many Goliaths to shoot the shuttle down before it's able to. Oh, but we do have a scan, so it looks like MadiNho 100% scattered that out. So absolutely no damage going to be taken, at least for this small period of time. So excellent play there. Looks like we have army movement towards the main army of MadiNho in the center of the map, but we do have units kind of wrapping around towards the south as well. So don't know if we're going to see a huge engagement here yet. First, looks like oh, and the storm drop gets sniped. Amazing.
That was absolutely huge. Great scan timing there. That saves MadiNho from potentially losing, I don't know, maybe like 10, 12 SCVs. There's the 1 carrier, and I mean, it's really triggered MadiNho into making so many Goliaths. You can see just more gateways being added. It looks like there's going to be a repositioning of Protoss units, and MadiNho, most of his tanks are not covering this area.
Yeah, it's actually kind of just a free 3rd right now as the Protoss players are coming through here. There's essentially just mines. Looks like 1 tank at the natural expansion.
Reinforcing Goliaths, this is absolutely the worst thing for MadiNho here. And even if this is a base trade, this favors Protoss so much more. Killing the Terran third, losing your fourth, it's still 3 versus 2.
Oh man, yeah, this is a kind of crazy timing right now for JayStar to hit. Units coming through. This is a kind of an awkward attack angle. This, especially coming through the low ground, can be really difficult. I cannot believe that these tanks are still alive down here, to be completely honest. The main army of MadiNho across on the other side of the map deciding to retreat here, as we do realize that we are kind of in desperation mode trying to deal with this. SCVs normally be strong blockers, but there are storms here in case you have like them all piling up, trying to keep the units off of these tanks. Wow, that Eye Templar was on an adventure, that's for sure. Huge amounts of Protoss units still in the natural expansion, and MadiNho's army still just kind of flailing out in the middle of the map. Gotta make a decision here. I think it's definitely time to come back home before you lose literally everything. This is like a 100% base race mode at this point. Tanks desperately trying to get behind factories and maybe make a big difference here. Huge storms on the main army. Huge follow-up storm on the main army. There goes all of MadiNho's tanks. No! What is going on? Like 5 units kill the entirety of the army, and wow, what an ending to such a crazy kind of back and forth game there. I thought MadiNho was in an excellent position. He was at like 160 supply, looking really strong, and then just, man, just an awful move out timing and a great counterattack by JayStar really just ends the game.
Yeah, he gave up the great positioning, had opened up a counter path for JayStar, and even if you get the 4th and the 3rd, you're losing your main there, so the game's pretty much over there. And MadiNho, I mean, he did a really good job to come back from what looked like a pretty grim opener, but he really got caught off guard by the fake carrier. I mean, because it looked like carrier. You see the Cybernetic support spinning, you scout the fleet beacon, you see one carrier, but it was just gateway army. There weren't a lot of carriers, so all those Goliaths that you saw at the end of his rally really did not help out against the Zealot Dragoon and High Templar composition.
Yeah, that was actually pretty wild. Definitely a big mind game there. We would have seen one carrier, I think, the entire time.
Right.
And I know you said you can't fake carrier, but it sure seemed to work pretty well on MadiNho. We did have just a ton of Goliaths coming out, and as you said, they're really not that great versus gateway units. Man, I wish it wasn't a best of one. I want to see some more of these two guys play against each other because it was really good. Kind of unfortunate that MadiNho kind of psyched himself out there and kind of played into JayStar's hand. I think it was a really excellent play by both the players, but MadiNho just making, unfortunately, the wrong strategic call, and that's going to send him to the elimination match to go against CadenZie. So I believe coming up next, we will be going to a break. Thank you guys all so much for showing up so far this morning. I hope all of you guys have enjoyed the game so far. I hope you guys all tuned into the show match that was this morning as well.
Oh, it was actually delayed.
Oh, it was? Oh, okay, cool. So I got some time to watch that then. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for showing up, and we'll see you a little bit here after the break. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking with us through the break. Welcome back. Next thing we have coming up for you guys is going to be a JayStar versus Kid in the winners match. So I am pretty, I mean, I would assume that since these guys are from the same region that they have a decent amount of experience playing against each other, but we don't, I mean, I don't think we have too much information on the Chinese scene, but I mean, is this something that we know about? Like, do these guys have a history together or no?
I mean, it's very likely that they do, but I'm not familiar with it. Would have to go on a deep dive into like Chinese tournament history and like head-to-head matchup potentially, but don't have that information. But definitely they played, and definitely they're high-level players, so I expect to see a very good PBZ here.
I feel like we need like a foreign emissary to do like a deep dive and get us all the information on the Chinese scene as they're coming and starting to participate a lot more out here with the North American, European, South American scene as well. But you know, ZVT again, I think most people's favorite matchup, definitely mine, and going to be very exciting, especially considering that these players have both hit very similar MMRs when it comes to the MMRs that we have for them on the ladder. So I would assume that they're pretty evenly matched here. And then I think the map pool is pretty good just overall that we have going on right now. So nothing crazy. It's going to be like a pretty fair and even matchup, I think, going on into this fight.
Yep, and yeah, you can see the MMR is pretty much identical. Both players reached the 2,500 range pretty easily. So it should be, I mean, really high level displayed from both parties here. And it's interesting because we have no idea how they play, really.
Okay. Looks like we are ready to go ahead and get on into the game. It's going to be heading to good night, guys. Here we go.
All right, in the top right spawn, we have Kid.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, spawning as the red Protoss, we have JayStar.
All right, so this is one of the few maps that's pretty bad for Protoss in this matchup. Really hard to get a third gas. The third that you do have is a mineral only. It's pretty bad. Looks like we have a pylon at the natural. Is JayStar a 1-gate player, or maybe he's not? It's like the probe just hanging around there. This definitely indicates to me it's going to be 1-gate.
And then we see, do we have? Oh yeah, it looks like we are saving up for a pool here.
Yeah, so 9 pool. We're gonna have a lot of fireworks in the early game. Unlikely we'll see 9 pool speed. 9 pool speed is something we don't see Zerg go for pretty much ever now. And there's the 9-gate.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate actually. I feel like 9 pool it just matches up so badly versus 1-gate expand, just due to the fact that you don't really get much of a great opportunity to do a lot of damage since the Zealot is out so fast and deals so well with those early wings. And you know, 9 pool speed definitely gives you a bit more of an opportunity to get in and outmaneuver the Protoss and potentially do like a big all-in type of amount of damage. I don't know, I just don't see this opener going very good for Kid.
All right, so we had a peculiar scout from Protoss. He went for the Overlord scout, and then he's gonna go check the other adjacent spawn, because the Overlord, if Zerg were at bottom left, he would have seen it at 6 o'clock. So very good scouting here, and he's gonna scout the 9 pool right away. This is actually huge for JayStar. So JayStar is gonna be able to get defenses up. So instant forge. You should see non-stop Zealot production. Zerg behind us, we'll just go hatchery, and then upon seeing a forge, I don't think it's really going to commit into too many lings.
Yeah, just going to make it 6 lings and then go right into droning and hatchery and all that, because you know, as soon as you get scouted in this situation, that your Protoss player is going to be totally prepared for your attack on the other side of the map here. So it's a little unfortunate, but you know, this is such an early portion of the game. It doesn't quite end the game for Zerg just yet, but certainly not a great way to go into a series and getting started here. Looks like Zealot's in perfect position to go ahead and close these walls here. Second Zealot popping out now, going to try to keep the Zerglings off of the gateway and make sure that none of that gets damaged too much, because there is the potential still to just make a bazillion Zerglings and try to crack the natural expansion if there's only a single cannon down or something like that. But we have been chasing away the probe scouts, so the probe is probably going to just keep roaming around the map until it gets an opportunity to go in and see what the tech choice is going to be from Kid. We already have a gas up. Is that a third in the 12 o'clock position as well, I think? Yep. So it looks like we're going for a pretty normal build here. We'll have to see if we're going to see a Hydralisk or just going for a standard layer. But, oh man, Zealot pressure coming across the map now. We don't have a natural expansion, as Zero is pointing out yet.
Yeah, we don't even have a cannon. So this is pretty ballsy from JayStar, but oh, Kid actually hid the lings he spawned. Okay, but he's gonna get caught. The probe scout doing his job, seeing everything. I think JayStar, I mean,
oh my gosh, the third Zealot is being sent now.
Okay, he doesn't realize these aren't the links from earlier have actually just hidden, and there's no cannon here. JayStar might be dead just straight away. Zealot is not anywhere near popping out. 3 Zealots on a ramp are pretty menacing, but if you can just wait and bank more links, I don't really know how JayStar is going to be able to defend. Looks like Zealot pops up, but he doesn't have any probe support.
Getting rid of this pylon here is going to make sure that the attack is really just shut down immediately, as there's no more production here now for JayStar. Zergling's now fighting these probes at the natural expansion, and this Zealot is going to take forever to kill this natural hatchery by itself, so there should be plenty of time to drone drill that ramp with the large number of Zerglings that we have here at the main base. I'm sure they're just going to go right now. There we go. And the big attack here from JayStar is likely going to be shut down pretty easily, I would assume, at this point. Man, lots of damage being done back at the Protoss now.
Yeah, and the natural cannon just started. The pylon, of course, was killed, and well, this is looking pretty dicey. Zerg only has 8 drones, but they already have the 3 hatchery production, and Protoss just started or just finished their Nexus. Speed about to be complete. These ults are forfeit, just really there to buy time. JayStar desperately waiting for these cannons to finish. You really should pull another couple probes. Easily targets that one and kills it, and now the cannon is surrounded, and this game is over. Actually, yep, just GG right away. No way to hold on from there.
Man, what a blunder there by JayStar, sending that Zealot that was supposed to be holding the natural expansion out to go for that attack out in the natural expansion of the Zerg. I mean, honestly, I think there were 3 or 4 Zealots over there to begin with. I don't think there was really very much need to send another one. You know, a little bit of unfortunate decision making opens the door for a Zergling run by, and then you're just kind of done. You know, get your pylon snipe. It's a pretty rough way to lose the game, I think. We are in best of 3, so there is time to kind of make up the difference there. But I feel like that's got to be a pretty tilting loss, right? Do you think that that's going to affect the decision making coming out here from JayStar? Because I know it would definitely put me on tilt right away.
I think that was a huge mystery because he saw the Lings in the main coming from the left side. Maybe he wasn't looking at that moment, but he saw the Lings coming from an angle that they shouldn't come from. So those were definitely hidden, which should trigger him to start thinking, wait, these aren't the same Lings from earlier. Where are those? And he shouldn't have sent out the Zealot. He should have had something blocking. He didn't go cannon. Because if you go cannon and non-top Zealot, you could do that kind of move out without fear of a counterattack against just slow Lings. But pretty big risk, gambled, really backfired, didn't really use the scouting information he had available, and that's what happens.
Yeah, pretty rough. You know, I think that's got to feel really good as Kid. But you know, it's hard to put too much stock into that as far as how this is going to affect the entirety of the series, I guess. But yeah, a little disappointing, not gonna lie. It was very strange to not have a cannon and still move out there. Or not really play very defensively at all, especially with a lack of scouting information there. I thought it was going pretty good at the start of the game there for JayStar, since he was able to kind of just go gateway first, and he ended up encountering essentially a first scouted 9 pool. So I thought things were looking really good for him at the beginning of the game there, and just kind of like bunked it a little bit. Alrighty guys, well, it looks like we're going to be heading over to Metaverse next for game number 2, so here we go. Alrighty guys, and in the top right hand corner spawning as the blue Zerg, we have Kid.
And in the bottom left we have JayStar. Map is Metaverse, and well, the one gate in game 1 really backfired, but mostly just decision making. It wasn't really a micro oriented loss, or like he got out multitask. Really just took a big gamble on something because he saw, of course, the late gas, so he's like, okay, these Lings don't have speed. The probe was alive, but didn't have the full scouting picture. And well, it looks like he's gonna go one gate again. And JayStar and Kid actually gonna make an Overlord this time, so we're gonna have different openers.
Yeah, I think you're right. Not exactly the type of problem that would potentially change your mind about your opening builder here. So Gateway should be coming down any second here. Do you think we're gonna have a hatch first after this?
Yeah, this could definitely be hatch first. Yep, but it's gonna be overpool. And I was thinking it's gonna be hatch first just because 4-player map could go 11 hatch, and then any kind of 1 gate is kind of, you're not really concerned, but just gonna be overpool, which is kind of like the standard for a very long time opener in ZVP. Just something like 90% of games were overpool.
Yeah, it's just so safe versus everything and doesn't put you behind economically or anything like that. But the 11 hatch, I mean, like, at least personally, and then with a lot of my friends who play Zerg, seem to be kind of popular lately, as you do get that hatchery out so much faster and it feels just way more comfortable. But I guess, you know, just playing it real safe here. Kid doesn't really need to gamble on anything. He's already up 1 game in the series now. So, you know, I definitely respect that approach as well. And this is not like really that much of a concession to any kind of aggressive openers anyways.
And we have Kid arriving with his drone at the natural. He's gonna see that gateway. Of course, he already made, I think, 2 drones. So now after you only make 2 lings, I think he's gonna go up to 8 lings, possibly 10, to deflect any kind of zealot pressure. But because it's cross map, I don't really expect Protoss to be able to put on any significant amount of pressure.
Drone in the natural here.
We are queuing up. We have the 3rd zealot on the way. There's that first zealot, 2 lings, just gonna run by. And Kid, it looks like Kid is really favoring fighting on 2 fronts. Maybe he feels like he has a multitasking advantage here because he's sending out those 2 lings, not worried at all about defending the first zealot, knows he has more larva with more lings in production.
There we go. And 4 lings versus a zealot is always a winning fight. The probe does make the difference though, depending on whether or not you can get behind the mineral line, or you know how much damage you can keep on your probe without losing it. But it looks like the Zergling's doing an excellent job immediately getting on top of the zealot and making this a pretty one-sided fight here. So that harassment not doing very much at all, and having the 2 lings across the map and being able to see kind of like the troop movement and stuff like that is also a really nice way of knowing exactly how many Zerglings you need to make in this situation before you can go to droning. So looks like, as you said, just goes right up to 8 and is completely happy going on into his macro build. We do have the gas almost ready to make that layer there, and there it goes. So going to be heading on into a pretty standard matchup, it looks like. Oh, no layer.
Well, the thing is, when you go 1 gate, if your first zealot does nothing like this one did, it's pretty bad actually, because Zerg is going to get away with only making 8 lings off an overpool, and you got to be doing something more with that zealot, because you're just throwing it away really there. And it's not like he could have camped it behind the mineral line like on some maps, say like Fighting Spirit. The area behind the minerals here is actually bigger, and it allows us out to get easily surrounded.
So I really like the decision now here that we have from Kid. Looks like he went for Zergling speed and then threw down his Hydra Den, being able to deny complete vision of his main at this point due to the fact that the Zealot didn't really do anything, and so it's just going to be Zerglings versus a scouting probe. It's going to be really nice. So we will have a very strong Hydra attack coming in here in a little bit, and unfortunately, without having that information, JayStar is going to need to make a decision whether or not to make safety cannons or what his response is going to be. Looks like we do have Citadel coming down though first, so an excellent response. Having those speed zealots and then being able to go into Templar is going to be a very strong way of deflecting the Hydra attack here at the natural that's going to be incoming. What makes you think he made that decision? You think this is just like a I mean, yeah, it's just so strange.
It's interesting because Citadel first is something you don't ever really see, and I'm a little bit confused. He did delay the cannon long enough so he has a good cybernetics core and Citadel timing, but Zerg is doing something a little bit tricky where they're going speed and then into Hydras, and they're getting speed at the same timing they would get it had they gone lair. So Protoss really is in the dark here and has no intel whatsoever that this is Hydra until Hydra show up.
Yeah,
but he's doing something that's actually very good against the Hydra opener.
It's a good thing though that Kid was able to get that scout off with the Overlord, so he should know that the Citadel came out first. Interesting. I'm kind of curious on how this is going to affect his play at this point. When you see that Citadel first, it's like, okay, I have to get something done here, but he's committed now.
Yeah, but this is actually risky. Only 1 cannon. He's gonna see the Hydras now. That's a Stargate. He's expecting Lair. That's definitely, like, he's misreading it. Now he sees Hydras. He's panicking because Zergs still don't have speed. He's making cannons at the back. This one at the front is actually very exposed. Hydras can walk right up and kill it.
Yeah, this is a pretty nightmare situation. It was interesting because, as you said, you know, it's a very strong build order versus a Hydra attack, and then all of a sudden there's no cannons, and we have like 4 Zealots to defend the attack here. So man, these Hydralists instantly cutting down the wall, kills the one active cannon. Probe's now going down here, and this looks like a nightmare situation at this point.
Yeah, game's over, and it's just... He really misread the build. He thought he was going up against Lair. That's why he saw that. This was going to be a 3-gate speed lot with Sair follow-up, but just could never get to that stage of the game where Zerg is going Hydralist.
Yeah, unfortunately going for that Stargate instead of throwing down the gateways there. I was honestly like, wow, this is like the hardest soul read I've ever seen. He's just like, nah, this isn't Lair. I'm going for Speed Zealot and we're going to crush this push. But unfortunately not. Actually, the Corsair Speed Zealot plays like it's not something that you see pretty often, so it definitely threw me off there for a second on what JayStar was going to be going for. It was looking so good for a minute too, but then we only had the one cannon as the Hydra showed up. So a little bit of unfortunate misread there, and 2 games very quickly taken out. JayStar going to unfortunately get beat up a little bit here by Kid with a 2-0.
Yeah, very swift 2-0, and Kid just outclassed him both times. And well, we're probably gonna see Kid go. I'm interested in seeing Kid go further into the tournament just to see how he compares against the top foreigners. But he looked really strong. Just minute details, really, but he played really well.
Yeah, very clean. So JayStar is going to be going down into the last chance match now. Going to be looking to see who moves on in a minute between CadenZie and MadiNho to go ahead and go up against him next. I do believe we are going to be going into a break before we go ahead and do that. So guys, please stick around. And while you have a couple of minutes without some StarCraft to watch, please maybe check out the Patreon page or consider subscribing to the Twitch account. Or any of those avenues that you can to support BSL. Really appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you in a little bit. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around through the break. Hope you guys had a good one. Yeah, we were just hanging out here for a little bit while Zero had some time to set up the production, everything like that, talking about the Chinese players and how some things shook out there. Very excited to continue to see them participating, but it is now time for us to switch over to foreigner mode as we have CadenZie and MadiNho going to be going at it here in the losers match. How do you feel like these guys are going to shake out, man? It's a pretty normal matchup for us in the foreigner scene.
Yeah, don't really know where they are skill-wise these days or how active they are, but I think should be a pretty close match. And I know MadiNho really likes to mix it up in TVZ, and CadenZie also as well in ZVT. So you can see anything from mech to biomech to 111 in MadiNho. CadenZie could go for any kind of opener, really. 2H Muta with any kind of follow-up, like the variants you can get from 2H Muta depending on what Terran is doing. We should really see a pretty wild best of 3 here between the two.
I want to see a 2-head lurker really bad. I'm really hoping to see Zoe pull it out and burn the scans, and then send the lurkers to the natural and just crush a bunker. It'll be great. I'm hoping and planning on seeing it. If we don't, I'll be very disappointed. I'll message you afterwards.
All right, but yeah, it should be a close match. And well, let's look at bracket here. The winner of this best of 3 will go up against JayStar. We saw JayStar beat MadiNho in a pretty close back and forth game in game number 1.
Yeah, definitely. And just a couple of unfortunate mistakes for MadiNho really closed that game out. There were points at which he looked like he was in a pretty dominant position. It was very back and forth. That would be a really great match to see. Of course, don't want to count CadenZie out though as well. I think either way though, I'd be pretty happy if either one of these guys move on. Both very strong and skilled players. It is a good point that you make though. This is pretty much up in the air. I think both of these players are capable of just doing all kinds of different stuff. I think that you know, it looks like CadenZie's definitely weakest match is going to be versus Terran, so this might be a little bit of an uphill battle for her. But you know, again, that takes into consideration like what players is she playing against. Of course, we have some very strong 400 Terrans as well, so I would definitely not count her out here, as she has, you know, excellent Muta control, really good diversity of build orders as well. So looking forward to seeing how we go into this.
Yep, it looks like we're ready. It looks like the first map is going to be Good Night. All right, in the bottom left spawn, we have CadenZie in the color blue.
And across the map on the right side, we have MadiNho in the red.
Well, this isn't a particularly good map for mech, so I don't think we'll see that. But MadiNho really likes to mix it up. And some larval tricking here going on, moving those larvae closer to the left side.
Yeah, CadenZie, one of those players who's very particular about the super early game tech. Obviously, is going to use that larva trick using stop to move the larva to the left side, but also very famously, one of the players who's particular about drone boosting to get that additional early mineral lead as well. Even done a couple, at least one video guide on how to do drone boosting, and just one of those players that uses all those early game techniques to get a really clean, very powerful early build order going.
And looks like MadiNho setting up a wall here. So another thing that's become more standard is Terrans going Rax expand, but getting a wall at their natural, and it just makes the early game a lot easier, a lot cleaner with your build. You can streamline things more efficiently by cutting off marine production here and there. And if you're allowed to wall on the map like this, you definitely should just go for it. It really makes your Rax expand that much better economically.
Alrighty, hatchery coming down now. We're going to go ahead and see what the gas timing is for CadenZie. We don't see one yet, so maybe even seeing something like a 3-hatch build coming out.
Well, we have the... I don't know what that drone's doing. So we have 12 gas. 12 pool. So this is 12 hatch, 12 pool, and then 12 gas. And I think this is the... Yeah, so this is going to be the 2-hatch Muta, where you could get the 3rd hatch before the Spire. So you delay your Spire timing a few seconds, but you're able to get that 3rd hatch in base. And it's a pretty popular variant of 2-hatch Muta we see now.
We see Zero with the hearts for our Latin American community. We really, of course, appreciate the support from you guys. We love you all too. Thank you. Man, this wall though, yeah, I always find it so frustrating when I see this here, because there's no opportunity to like get in. You know, you can't really reliably see, you know, what the marine count is, because they only need like one up there to deter any kind of like harassment at the wall or anything like that. But SV gonna come in here and see what the plan is, and we see CadenZie pulling off of the gas now that the layer has started, so that's gonna be normal. Gonna be putting back on the gas a little bit later. But yeah, things gonna be shaking out to be pretty standard 2-hatch Muta that we've seen for quite a long time now. And CadenZie, very big fan of using her mutalist control to secure herself a lead in the game here. So, yeah, no, you said no mech. What about this map makes it terrible for mech?
The 3rd is mineral only, and the 3rd gas is really, really far. And we actually had CadenZie pull off gas, which is not something I've seen too often. It will allow her to get this 3rd hatch a lot faster. And we should see drones being put back on gas pretty soon to line up with that Spire timing. And they're going to even take the nat gas right away. But we're actually going to see mech. And Rax expand into mech is something only possible if you can do a wall. Because, well, I mean, it still doesn't make sense to me. It's got to be 1-1-1, right? This just seems so late for mech. Like, how can you transition into Goliaths and have enough to deal with the mutas?
Yeah, it's going to be, I would assume, very difficult. I think maybe you're just waiting at this point on getting your science vessel out. I mean, how do you How do you defend the Muta attack here at all?
But wait, there's no Spire.
Oh my gosh. What is happening?
There's no Spire.
We don't have a Hydra Den either. If we see just a Queen's Nest go down right now.
Oh, the Spire was 300 gas late. This is pretty catastrophic. Is that a 4 patch at the front? What is it? 4 patch and Hydra Den.
Okay.
Well, how do we recover from this as Zerg? We just have later mutas, can't really harass the Terran. Because the one weakness with what MadiNho is doing is the muta timing is just too fast for him to have enough Goliaths. So you eat the muta damage. There's nothing you can do in that scenario. Even if you have turrets and you have Goliaths, the 7 mutas just come in, dive SCVs. But as we can see, the Goliaths now are going to be in time.
I wonder what MadiNho is thinking, seeing this 4th hatchery at the front of the base here, and then the Hydra Den as well. I mean, are we going to be seeing tanks as a potential response to like this Hydra Den up front, or is he going to expect the mutas to come out after here as well? I mean, CadenZie is saving up for a good 8 mutalist pop here. It looks like we are creating our turrets now. So yeah, I mean, it just sounds like MadiNho's got like quite a read going on right now, as these turrets are going to be finishing up just in time for the muta eggs to start.
Is this second armory actually spinning? Yeah, so double upgrades. And well, if this is for what I think it is, where he's just gonna go starport and turtle and get really fast upgrades, it's gonna be pretty potent. But MadiNho is actually completely in the dark because he saw the Hydra Den, right? And if you see a 4 patch, you're not expecting mutas. So he's actually covering both by going tank Goliath, but making tanks this early really eats at your gas. And he sees the Hydra Den and the 3rd base with that Vulture, so this Vulture got a lot of information.
All right, we do have CadenZie's first couple of mutalists coming out now. We even have Scourge here, which is a little interesting. I think
this is 111 is what CadenZie was reading here, because you don't make the Scourge otherwise. Yeah. And well, she's gonna see the tank, she's gonna see the Goliaths, and then well, the gig is up. It's mech. How do we respond from here? Because the openings have been wonky from both players.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like CadenZie's in a pretty all right position, right? Because she has 4 macro hatcheries before she even goes and takes the 5th. So going to be able to power up some drones really hard. And because of the fact that there's tanks being produced so early, there's always the possibility that a whole bunch of mutas come in here and stop you from pushing across the map. So I don't think MadiNho is going to push out for a little bit here still. Only has 2 factories right now and is waiting on double upgrades to finish and kind of like be able to get a nice big mech army. So CadenZie does have a long time to be able to start doing things like getting her queens going, getting a huge economy going, and getting hive tech here. I honestly think that she's just going to be kind of chilling for a little bit and macroing up, and I would be happy to be in this position.
Well, when you scout Terran is going double armory, they're getting a starport, and they don't really have that many units. You can just do whatever you want, and you see CadenZie just joining and making more mutas. Are we seeing any carapace on the mutalist? Looks like no, not quite yet. The Spire was late though, so could still be getting it now. More mutas banking up, and yeah, MadiNho really, he's going tanks. Now he's switching into vultures. This Goliath county is absolutely puny. They do have good upgrades, but you can see just maybe a handful of Goliaths here, even a dropship.
Oh man, yeah. Well, it's kind of a funny choice considering the I would say decent number of mutalists that are in the air right now, and with having essentially no DPS versus these mutalists right now, because what the Gaia count was like a 5 or 6 or something like that. There's like no real way to move across the map at any point in time. The dropship scouts the Scourge, immediately heads back into the natural expansion. That is not the route that you want to take there as a dropship pilot. But it was a good attempt. But yeah, this is just a lot of non-Goliath units right now. So MadiNho is like just stuck until he's got something going on here. It looks like we're finally adding on our additional factories, but being stuck on 2 bases and committed to like a big 2-base timing is not something that you want to see when you're up against 6-5 hatch Zerg.
Well, and more mutas being added by CadenZie. Also getting the Hydrolist upgrades, of course, but not making any Hydros. And
oh my gosh, these tanks are so exposed.
Looks like we had a missed volley there from the mutas, but just a lot of mutalists. And I wonder when are we going to see queens? I think the opportunity for Zerg is just to make a lot of mutalists and then follow up with Hydrolists and go for an attack as Terran is trying to expand outwards, because you can see that where the tanks are positioned, there's only a mineral only there. To get a third gas, you actually have to go pretty far on this map.
Man, this game is just turned out so funny. Zoe with a bit of a blunder, not getting that spire down, actually has worked quite significantly to her advantage, as the Hydrolist getting an extra hatchery at the front of the natural expansion seems to have done a little bit to kind of break MadiNho's ability to comprehend what's going on in this game. Now we have another hatchery coming down here at the 3rd base, and we're just going to have like a crazy amount of production. And you know, with this huge commitment to mutalists and really not that many Goliaths on the field, and I didn't see any vessels on the field or anything like that, not a really great solution to dealing with all of these mutalists yet. Looks like we just have Irradiate being researched now. Of course, that's going to be an excellent way to work on these mutalists, but if we keep them spread and they're all nice and magic box and you just pull out that irradiated mutalist, it's still going to be a really great way to trade into this mech army.
I think we're almost at the point where there's too many mutalists for the number of Goliaths. And MadiNho, to get that vessel, he actually have to produce a lot of vultures. He doesn't really have the gas with that mineral-only mineral-only base. So he's really struggling to afford double upgrades and vessels and Goliaths.
Dude, this dropship is the bravest dropship in the history of dropships. Holy crap. Just weaving its way through Overlord Vision. We've got Scourge on the field. There's a bazillion mutalisks in the air, and yet we still get the mission accomplished, as we do have the vultures now arriving in the main. With this many drone kills, it's actually been quite a successful little mission here. You know, even despite the fact that there's a ton of larvae available, was a good number of drones to get killed with just 4 vultures here. So, wow. CadenZie with a pretty extreme supply lead right now. That 3rd is going to be, I bet, even a bit of a liability at this point, because I don't think there are too many of the turrets up there. MadiNho just in such a weird position right now, but here we go, continuing to upgrade these mech units on 2-2 already, 3-3 now getting started, it looks like. And MadiNho staying active on the map with the vultures, trying to keep as much of the map vision as possible. Zoe now expanding top right-hand corner as well, just taking every base that she could possibly want. Really surprised that we don't have any kind of movement towards, you know, queens or to any kind of high tech or anything like that. But here we go, big mutalist attack here at this fresh 3rd. Only 3 turrets in position right now, and the Goliaths having to move out. Really huge irradiate though, and not able to split these mutalists up here. But a good amount of damage done nonetheless, and it looks like we're not going to lose very many mutalists, if any, other than this one irradiated guy. So yeah, great, excellent attack here by Zoe, and continuing to be able to put on the pressure with these mutalists, going to really make it very difficult, as mech is such a difficult type of army to continue to move around. Looks like only 3 turrets in the main right now, and the mutalists have decided to go ahead and move in. Looks like, 4 turrets in the main, but those are going to go down very quickly, and there is a very long defensive path that the Goliaths have to take before
the irradiate.
Oh my god, are we just going to see a huge cloud of mutalists explode?
No, the mutalists are badly moved up here. Are we going to be able to get the vessels? Get one that's actually pretty big. And the thing I'm worried about is the mech army is still just constantly upgrading here. We're at 2-2, 3-3 is on the way. The tank count is slowly growing. We don't have a lot of Goliaths, but the vessels did a really good job at bruising the mutalist, so they can't engage the Goliaths directly. And I feel like Terran is scaling better the later this game goes on. CadenZie doesn't have queens. Queens really shut down this kind of Terran style where you just sit back and get upgrades, because the Broodling, of course, doesn't really care about what kind of upgrades the mech has.
Well, as you said, mutalists kind of bruised up, but unfortunately they are Zerg units, so they do heal up here. There is a really large tank count.
No +2 for CadenZie.
Saludos a la comunidad SC en español.
Oh man, when these hit 3/3 upgrades, these Hydras are going to do like almost no damage to the Goliath army. Alrighty, MadiNho deciding to make some aggressive moves here, and I don't know if CadenZie is ready for this because, as you said, you know, the upgrade's going to make a pretty significant difference here. Hydras especially need to have those plus attack upgrades in order to be able to deal very well with mech, and there is a ton of tanks on the ground as well, so we'll have to see. I don't know how healed up the Mutalisks have had time to get yet. They should be, you know, fairly healthy, and the Goliath count isn't super strong right now. It's all going to matter how the Hydra... Oh my gosh, never mind. It's not going to matter at all. As Zoe decides not to fight the army at all, goes into the third base here, and there are pretty much no defenses here. And it's going to take forever for this Goliath army to get back here and stop the third from dying, so not going to be able to save that. Small contingent of units here at the natural expansion should be able to save the natural, but this was an excellent counterattack by CadenZie. Now MadiNho is quite on the back foot at this point. He doesn't really get very much done at CadenZie's natural expansion. Even the fourth is not going to get sniped out by these fly units as the army retreats into it.
Yeah, but MadiNho critically hasn't lost any units, basically. He lost that command center, he has another one floating, gonna lose that as well. But how does the Zerg actually stop this big push now?
Oh my gosh, look at this professional observing, able to pull down the UI at a moment's notice as we see a very nice little vulture drop in the back side of CadenZie's base here to get a significant amount of harassment done. There's a lot going on right now, and any additional splitting of your attention can be very catastrophic. But yeah, as you said, this mech army, despite losing a whole bunch of buildings, was able to do a good amount of damage to CadenZie's main army here. And the issue is again, like, how does she not die at this point? Looks like CadenZie's main army is actually literally just going to die to the rally here at the natural expansion, which is not something that you want when you're about to die at your main base.
Yes, MadiNho not even needing those additional bases as long as he can keep his main army alive. There's no way for Zerg to contest this. Again, no queens. Hydralisks aren't that well upgraded. There's vessels to deal with mass Muta.
Oh man, and this looks like a pretty unstoppable push here at the natural expansion. Very small contingent of Hydralisks doing their best to maybe kill a tank before they all die. Just kidding, looks like we have defense matrix on the very low tank there at the last minute to kind of style on CadenZie. And now that the main base is basically under threat here, looks like Zoe is going to go ahead and throw up the GG. So excellent timing on that counterattack at the natural expansion. I think CadenZie just a little overextending with the aggression out on the map, despite being able to kill those two bases. And man, what a very strong push there at the end by MadiNho, and definitely called it. Not losing any units really contributed to his ability to just kill CadenZie after losing those bases.
Yeah, so CadenZie did a good job with the Mutalisks, but MadiNho played really strangely and got away with everything. One thing was the Forgotten Spire that really allowed him to not get punished by Mutalisks in the early game. And then the other thing was not getting +2 on the Hydras and not ever going for either more Mutalisk upgrades or even Queens. Like, Queens really helped shut down the upgrades from turn. Like, 3-2 mech is menacing, but you can kill the tanks before they're shelling on your Hydras with Queens. And just had a really difficult time engaging Hydra Muta against 3-2 mech, and that basically sealed the game, even without MadiNho expanding towards a third gas.
Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. It looks like there was, I would assume that blunder early in the game with the Spire probably threw off CadenZie's game plan pretty hard. And unfortunately, it didn't look like there was too much of a game plan going into the late game there. You know, as you said, once the vessels were out and there was like a really good answer to the Mutalisks, the composition of CadenZie's army was unfortunately just didn't scale very well at all, especially since the Hydras weren't getting upgraded or anything like that. They weren't really able to trade efficiently versus the very well upgraded units of MadiNho. And so in the end there was like, there's no way that CadenZie was able to trade even remotely efficiently. So unfortunately, just that game was quite a strange one. I would expect that we see the Spire on time next game that we see, so it should shake out pretty differently here. Looks like we're gonna be heading to Ascension for the next game, guys, so we are just about ready for that. Let's go. Alrighty,
Alright.
and in the top center of the map, spawning as the blue Zerg, we have CadenZie.
And in the bottom left, we have MadiNho. Well, this is going to be interesting because this is also a good map for mech. And I feel like if MadiNho goes mech like he did in the first game, we're going to see a completely different response from Zerg.
What are you expecting to see? Are we thinking completely abandoning like the 2-hatch Spire play and going for like more of a 3-hatch into a fast 4th or something like that? Or what are you thinking that is going to change up in this matchup?
Definitely going to be 2-hatch Spire again. And we have another wall from MadiNho. But basically the Spire timing is critical. It allows you with your 7 mutalisks to get in, get some SCV, scout critically, because what MadiNho did was really wonky of an opener, but he got away with it, and it looked good for CadenZie as well, because I mean both the openings were strange, but scouting information is absolutely critical for Zerg. I feel like if you see double army, you should be just triggered right away to go queens, and it really shuts that down. Looks like we're going to see another wall from MadiNho, another 12 hatch. Are we going to see an additional drone or just a pull right away from CadenZie? Looks like okay, so it's going to be 12 again, and the 2.5 hatch is really strong off an opener. Probably going to see that again.
Oh my gosh, is this going to be 3-hatch before pool?
No way.
Okay, it was just a scout. I was hoping. I have a dream, man. I love the economic cheese openers. But okay, cool. So things getting started kind of normally again, as you said. Man, what a big blunder though with the Spire. That was just such a weird game. Man, it really sucks when you go and tell a drone to do something and it just doesn't do it for whatever reason. There's like a million different things that can happen. Like a drone can walk in front of it or something and mess it up. But yeah. Those are the kind of those little things about StarCraft that can just really drive you crazy, especially in a high pressure situation like this where you're in an elimination series and just things do not go good for you.
And we're seeing the same exact opener from MadiNho with the command center behind the wall. There's the gas right away as well. But the thing's going to be different. He already did it once. It really shouldn't catch Zerg off guard. And there's a lair.
So with the double armory opening, do you expect to see anything like that this time around, or was that mostly just a opportunity build order essentially?
No, I think he definitely. Okay, so it's gonna be different. It's gonna be eBay this time. I like this from MadiNho. Really don't want to repeat the same thing twice. But CadenZie, 3rd hatch, 3rd base, add a natural, and this is something she did last game where you got the 3rd hatch. You see she only has 1 on gas and you get those extra minerals. But then the 3rd hatch at the 3rd base is completely different. And that's very good against mech, right? Because you just get away with it. There's nothing for the Terran to really do. But against +1, 5 Vrax or 4 Vrax potentially, it could still be good, right? Terran isn't going to have an academy that quickly. They're not going to be able to put on any pressure early with Marine medics. So I feel like this is still good for Zerg.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I'm just a little worried that maybe the misread might, and might I guess go the wrong way for CadenZie. I guess the mutas coming out on time are gonna give her all the information that she needs to make decisions moving forward here. And of course, CadenZie has great Mutalist Micro, so I'm not super worried about the army like marching across the map once your +1 finishes and like killing or anything like that. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, this is a really great way for her to get her 3rd gas super duper fast and just, play this out, get to Hive, do your thing, get your defilers, and really just move into that late game Zerg where you can just make units and kind of dominate with Plague and Dark Swarm and Ultralisk and everything.
So this is an anti-vulture second, but now finally scouting the front, seeing the Marine count. We'll give away that this is actually mech. MadiNho should be wondering where this third hatch is. He hasn't seen it in the main anywhere. Should suspect that it's out of third. The most likely third is the one nearby, but I don't know if he scouted that to see that it's not there.
The only thing about this third is that like because there's no ramp, it can be a little bit more difficult. Like if as you can see, there's like a big opening to get into the third, so the Mutalisks really need to stay on top of the army and pick off Marines as they move across the map here. So not going to have the opportunity to use the ramp as it is to like really abuse the Marines, but the Mutalisks coming out at a really good time, going to be able to fight the army as soon as it decides to start walking across the map. So nothing too scary on the map right now.
Yeah, so this is absolutely crazy from MadiNho. I completely missed this. He's not going for standard bio. He's actually going for 1-1-1, but he's getting the Marine upgrades before he gets the vessel. So against this this Mutalist harassment, he's only going to have a very low number of Marines and turrets.
The turret's not even getting an opportunity to finish. Yeah, you're right. We have like 6 or 7 Marines on the map right now, and these Mutalisks can pick off Marines one at a time here. And there's just not enough damage right now from the bio to really threaten the Mutalisks at all. So there's going to be a really huge point in time here where these Mutalisks start to be a bit of a menace in the main. Looks like we're even going for a +1 Carapace for these Mutalisks, so trying to give them a little bit more longevity and have a much better trading power versus the bio. Seeing that 1-1-1, it's got to feel pretty good as CadenZie's very comfortable doing a lot of Mutalisk harassment.
Yeah, this isn't really that threatening. The Marines do have +1, but there's so few of them. Oh, although you don't want to get pinned here. But this is going to be an insane number of Mutalisks in the vessel. I think it only just now is about to finish. Will still be a little bit before it has irradiate. MadiNho will have really good upgrades, but again, he's just on 1 barracks.
Yeah, and honestly, with the fact that we have the third that has the availability of that gas as well, I would not be surprised if Zoe completely skips going for Hydralis and goes directly into high tech. And because there's such a long period of time right now where there's no real threat that MadiNho has as far as like walking across the map and being able to do any kind of damage. He's basically stuck in his main and his natural expansion, defending this for quite a long time still, because there's no ability to produce any kind of large bio ball that could potentially threaten expansion. Yeah, so I'm very curious. I mean, honestly, it would be very difficult, I think, for MadiNho to even get to a point where he can threaten any of these bases before it's picked apart.
You can see really struggling. Mutas have free reign into the main. The one thing he does have in his favor, okay, so this is what I like to see, the Scourge. To really shut this down, you get those vessels, and then Terran's been building up for this irradiate to deal with the Mutas, and I think he's only going to be able to use 1. That's a nice irradiate there. Mutas are clumped up.
Oh, and they're still not splitting here. All right. So a lot of bruised Mutalisks here, but I mean, CadenZie is banking up a good amount, so she can leave those very bruised up irradiated Mutalisks kind of out of the Mutaball and let them sit and regenerate HP while the Mutalisks continue to you know, harass with the fresh ones that are coming from the base. We still don't have any kind of movement towards Hive, so this is a pretty big commitment to Mutalisks. But there we go. Goes. It looks like one vessel immediately gets shut down by those Scourge as well. So this is going to be quite a prolonged Mutalisk battle here. So few SCVs left in the main able to mine any of this minerals. Looks like we have like 6 total, including the ones that we got off of the refinery there. So man, this has got to feel so good. Being on 3 bases with that much gas as a Zerg player, able to just duck and dive into these bases and just do all kinds of SCV damage.
So I'm a little bit concerned for Zerg. Zerg should be way more ahead in this scenario. The Mutalisks are all bruised up. That's the one thing. Terran is about to have 2-1. And once Terran has 2-1, Mutalisks and Ling alone really don't engage that well, especially with vessel support. So I feel like this is looking similar to last game where like CadenZie is in a great position, but MadiNho is already at late game, like he's scaling up really well into the late game. Difference here is he has way worse economy. That's another great irradiate. Oh man, so much damage on the Mutalisks.
And splitting so difficult too when they're all clumped up like that. Yeah, that's a good point. This is like, as you said, there's really no progression towards like a later plan, right? Like it looks like CadenZie is really committed to this Mutalist play, and as long as MadiNho is able to hold on for long enough. Oh, another vessel snipe though. That's massive. You know, but yeah, as you said, there's just no commitment towards any kind of tech that will carry CadenZie out of this mid-game type of technology into a late game. I'm very surprised we don't have any kind of high progression towards hive tech at all yet. There's like a pretty low number of drones, as you can see. MadiNho actually overtaking CadenZie in this worker camp, despite the fact that he's been essentially harassed out of his main almost completely. So yeah, again, just no late game plan, it seems.
Yeah, even not necessarily going for hype, but just going for lurkers to bust the front to actually get some critical damage done, because the way this is going, the Marines will eventually just outscale the Mutalists. Like even with +1 Kyber, it's just not enough.
Ooh, almost getting that science vessel, but not quite able to land the last volley there as the Marines push the Mutalists away. Oh, and another excellent, oh my gosh. But a good split though, so significantly less damage dealt here. But yeah, all of the Mutalists really bruised up here now. And you know, continuing to produce them, but eventually, yeah, you need units that can actually fight the Terran army, because as you can see, the barracks are getting up. There are, you know, Marines are very cheap units, and you can stay on 2 bases as Terran for a really long time and make a very powerful army, especially with the upgrades as they are. So continuing to just go for this very harassment-oriented play, and I'm just worried that CadenZie's gonna not really have a plan once these Marines walk out of the base.
Yeah, you can see the Mutalists failing to get a vessel, and MadiNho's just scanning constantly. He realizes Zerg doesn't have anything. Like right now, Zerg is way ahead in supply, but this is very weak supply. All MadiNho has to do is sit back and get enough Marines to just move out. Like these links are gonna do nothing.
Alrighty, we finally see a Hyperlist Den here, super late in the game, and oh my god, a catastrophic irradiate hitting tons of Mutalists, and then continuing. Actually, I'm kind of surprised at how long it took to get that final split going on over there. But look at this, we got like maybe one group, and then like maybe 3 or 4 additional Mutalists and some Zerglings to go ahead and fight this. And as you said, these Marines and medics are extremely well upgraded, so they're going to be doing tons of damage. And with all the Mutalists being bruised, I really don't know how effectively you can micro against this, because you're going to dive in and lose like 2-3 Mutalists every time.
Let's see a counterattack here. I mean, the thing is, MadiNho should have been dead so many times this game, but this is looking like the last game. Terran's kind of this army that Zerg can't really engage. It's never gonna die and just marches across the map and kills Zerg.
Do we have any do we have Lurker done yet? Oh my god, it's not even halfway done. Okay, well, 4 Sunken's certainly going to help if MadiNho ends up going to the natural expansion. Oh my gosh, and the Mutalists fly right over the Marine army, taking a bunch of damage here. And there are 2 vessels here. An irradiate could just completely end this game. Oh my god, the Mutalists are so... They're boxed into this corner now, getting chased down by the... Oh, and there it is. Huge irradiate. No split. Oh, okay. Decent split. But yeah, that's all. There's no fighting units left. We got 5 mutas.
All the mutas are bruised up here. So they're gonna transition now, but Zerg in this scenario where they're still on layer, they don't even have ground upgrades, and Terran has 3-2 with vessels already.
Yeah, and so many vessels. And how do you stop Terran from just getting to their 3 base now and just powering and then just killing you? Oh man, this is so scary. Big attack coming over to the 3rd base now. I think there's only like 1 Sunken there or something like that. Maybe a couple more in formation now. There we go. They're just coming down now, though. Not going to be ready in time here. CadenZie going to need to use this choke to her advantage, as the Marines, as you can see, able to be hit by some of these Sunkens as they come through here. But oh my god, the army is unifying now across that small gap there, and it looks like this could be the end. Marines now
And that'll
stemming
do
in
it.
here.
Yeah, the Marines, this wall upgraded. Doesn't really matter how many Sunkens there are. You can see they just don't die.
Yeah. Lurkers now trying to come in here from the back and maybe pin this army in for a little while and buy a little more time. But, you know, CadenZie, this game has gone on quite a long time now. So main and natural expansion running, I'm assuming, very, very low on resources at this point. Without having hive tech or anything like that either, there's no real opportunity. Looks like we even have a drop coming in here. This is probably going to be the nail in the coffin, as I can't expect there to be many units, if any, here in the main. Looks like a couple of Hydralisks were spawning out here, but nothing to really stop, you know, MadiNho's units here from clearing out this base. Now we have the reinforcements coming in, but man, CadenZie, once again, with no real plan for the late game here, was looking so strong, and now all of a sudden, you know, finally MadiNho has an opportunity to play his hand, and look at how long this Marine is alive.
Actually, you have to kill the medic first to even be able to kill that Marine.
Wow, that was, yeah, and that's just like you said, man, the upgrades making such a huge difference here. Look at the Lurkers, just not able to even really assist very well in these fights here.
I was thinking maybe an earlier Lurker switch when the Mutas were just having free reign in the main would have really caught MadiNho off guard. But just the non-stop Muta, while it was looking good for a while, once Terran gets a certain upgrade threshold, the Mutas just can't do anything, especially with vessel support. Like the vessels damaging the Mutas just gave MadiNho a lot of time. And no amount, like Zerg was up 30-40 supply, doubling almost the Terran supply, but it didn't matter. Just no way to scale into the late game, and we're looking at a very similar game to the first one.
Yeah, these vessels, like, no matter, you know, it may take a little while, but there's, like, the Lurkers are going to essentially be useless after a little bit here. I like the idea of maybe trying to contain MadiNho at his natural expansion or do some kind of Lurker bust, but just not enough money, not enough units. Very unfortunate game here, as CadenZie looks like not going to have an opportunity to move on. Oh man, what a huge army, and MadiNho's got all the radiates in the world now. CadenZie doing their best, actually saves a ton of the drones from the third, and trying to reestablish a sneaky base in the bottom right hand corner here. We're in desperation mode at this point, but MadiNho, you know, eventually just going to walk across the map here. These biological units really not going to struggle very much in powering down the Sunkens here at the natural expansion. And with all of the vessels in the air and no real ability to deal with them at this point, I don't really see CadenZie being able to stall for very much longer.
No, vessels just killing off the last remaining Lurkers there at the front. I mean, MadiNho should just go. And
yeah. Oh man, we don't even have any Lurkers being saved to kind of like fight behind the sunken wall. CadenZie doing her best to just continually distract the army and keep MadiNho away from the natural expansion as long as possible. But I mean, what are we even progressing towards here? I don't think that there's a hide on the way. There's so nothing that can, like, you know, forever stall. Looks like we do have the Queen's Nest in the natural expansion, but there's no way we have Defilers or anything like that that could, you know, make a long time, like a long-term play and let the third get up and have any kind of efficacy. So here comes the big push, and just without any technological units saved up, not very much in the way.
there's 3 Lurkers under that.
Oh my gosh.
That Overlord.
Doing their best to save the time. And dude, it's under the egg too, just making it more annoying to irradiate. This is definitely that stalling power of Zerg that's famous for. And here comes an eraser. Scourge gonna be able to take care of that. Almost getting all those though. Looks like all the science vessel energy used up though, so gonna be quite a while. How do you even get? Oh, is that that's a Lurker egg? That was morphed on top of it. That's so funny.
I thought that was larva.
No, I don't know. I was like thinking it might be like one of those like random map feature eggs, but yeah, it was one of hers. Still funny though. I've never seen someone morph a Lurker egg on top of Lurkers like that. But definitely a good way to stop the Marines from hitting them as you like move into that natural expansion. Man, Lurkers are so good at stalling for time.
Yeah, imagine we had even just one defiler, but it looks like MadiNho is gonna go battle cruisers, and that'll just really speed up the last remaining seconds of this game. CadenZie did her best here, but again, just basically it was over once the Mutalisk didn't outright kill MadiNho. He was able to get into this position where he was just way ahead on upgrades and tech.
Yeah, and you're right, battlecruisers is such a great way to end these games. They take so many larvae to deal with. Like, when you're only on like a couple of hatcheries, you know, using 3 larvae to kill a battlecruiser, assuming that all of your scourge hit is just, it takes so, you just don't have the production at this point. There we go. Looks like the 3rd and 4th have been discovered. It's again trying to be sneaky, but oh my gosh. He's stalling even more with some lurkers and sunkens as well. I mean, you have to commend this type of really scrappy play, though. You know what I mean? Like, when you see a player who's doing all the right moves and playing like this anyways, knowing that it's a desperate situation and trying their best to just stay in the game as long as possible. I mean, you never know. But this is a pretty rough situation. Battlecruiser's finally able to cut down the lurkers at the front, and now the bio is able to just move in here and clean up this natural expansion. And man, that is a lot of upgraded Marines in here, and they are just shredding through everything in this natural.
And not even caring about lurkers at this point, they're just too well upgraded.
Well, yeah, especially when you've got an upgrade advantage on them and they're no longer able to efficiently deal with the Marines when they've got that nice armor upgrade. But man, that was looking so good for Zoe for a little while there. CadenZie was like playing out of her mind with the Mutalisk, did tons of damage, had a really good start build order wise as well, and just man, it kind of hurts to see a game that was looking so good just kind of go down the drain there and get a 2-0 there by MadiNho. But well played by MadiNho, man. He really stuck through it. He really weathered that storm. And his eventual plan to just scale up into the late game did really great, and was able to crush through Zoe's kind of non-existent army at the point there.
Yeah, just stay alive till you get everything you need, and that's what MadiNho did, and good for him displaying some very unique TVZ. And well, that will set us up for our final match. But before that, I think we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll head into MadiNho against JayStar.
Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome back, and we're going to be heading on into the final series today. This is going to be a TVP this time, so going to be the one matchup that we haven't seen yet as far as the asymmetrical ones. Going to be MadiNho versus JayStar to see who gets to move out of the group, so it should be a very good game. MadiNho coming off of a nice hot win versus CadenZie there, so guys, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the cast so far. Thank you so much for joining me, Curiosity, and we really appreciate, of course, Zero organizing everything here. If you guys want to do us a favor, and while we are getting into these games, you could always check out the Patreon and consider supporting the BSL, or maybe subscribe via the Twitch channel. All of those things are a really great way to support Zero as he does his best to go full-time with StarCraft and provide all the best Broodwar content for you. So I appreciate y'all being here today.
Yeah, and well, there's a lot of BSL lined up, not only Pro League, but also Gosu League has to lead the other leagues. We have a lot of show matches, old school players coming back to play, and just a lot of things lined up. I hope everyone's excited, and it's going to be a big year for BSL in 2022.
Alrighty, so Curiosity, how are you feeling about this matchup, MadiNho versus JayStar? Do you have any predictions after seeing JayStar play?
Well, they did just play earlier, and JayStar won in a pretty back and forth game, but I think JayStar was always in a better than even position, I would say. I think JayStar should be the favorite just based off the small sample size we have, where JayStar played Gypsy and now MadiNho. But MadiNho plays unorthodox, and there's a lot of things he could do to really catch JayStar off guard.
Yeah, that certainly does count for a lot. This is going to be a best of 3, so MadiNho is going to have a little bit more time to potentially leverage his playstyle against JayStar. But again, best of 3, still not a very long series. You know, you have one game go bad and all of a sudden you're really on the back foot here. I hope that MadiNho is able to show up for the foreign scene here and maybe see one of our two Europeans move on as well. But I am looking forward to it, and this is likely going to be quite a nice, strong, and potentially a little bit longer series, as a PBT tends to be quite a long matchup.
It looks like we're ready to head into the final series, and we're going to see a new map. It's going to be Butter. All right, in the top right, we have JayStar as a blue Protoss.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, spawning as the red Terran, we have MadiNho.
Butter, already one of my favorite new maps. I just like how the map looks. We don't usually see desert maps anymore, and balance-wise, we're still in the early phase, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, it seems really interesting. I like the overall structure of the map too, as it kind of like you expand out towards the left side, and there's a lot of, you know, I mean, we're starting both on the right side of the map. There's like a whole lot of open territory on the map that you can kind of like progress through. I mean, I haven't looked too much at the map structure, but how do you expect this to play out? I mean, I know, how do you feel about two-player maps in general when it comes to this matchup?
Overall, I think Terran slightly likes two-player maps more than Protoss because you're limiting the number of bases there are, and that's always good for Terran. Protoss can't get another main, for example, and start a gateway farm there. It also means because there are less resources, Terran has less bases to take to get a favorable split. So Protoss really has to be more cost efficient on two-player maps. That's why we see carriers a lot on two-player maps. And MadiNho going for a wall. This is something he likes to do in all matchups, basically. It's just good early game to get a wall to deal with zealots. Later on, it becomes a hassle because you have that bunker, that depot that's in the way. You have to lift your racks to get out of your base. But early on, to not deal with any kind of harassment, it's perfectly fine. Especially because it's a two-player map, and Protoss can do all kinds of things. Proxy gates, steer your gas. MadiNho doesn't want to deal with any of them.
Yeah, it is nice to be able to kind of like eliminate the early game type of chaos that can happen. Of course, you know, dealing with having to micro your Marines versus Zealots can be really annoying. You know, I mean, it is kind of funny that you mentioned MadiNho's got great multitask, so I wouldn't expect him to be a player that's like super concerned with having to micro versus Zealots, but even still, like just being able to streamline kind of like the flow charting for the game at the early portion of the game is gotta feel nice and comfortable.
Yep, and we see the wall. There's a couple of reasons why you don't always see walls. Your SCV has to stop mining earlier to go make it. It's not just the one that pops out of your command center and you just instantly plant that. If your command center is where MadiNho's is, your units always spawn in the bottom left. So if you make a depot right where MadiNho made the second one, your SCVs start popping closer to the middle line, and all those kind of small details add up in the early game.
All right, okay. Looks like we were just getting, you know, pretty standard stuff. Got a factory expand here, so we should be seeing a bunker coming up here at the front of the base as the Dragoon comes down here to harass it a little bit. Looks like we're not seeing kind of like that I guess I don't want to call it revolution, that change in tech, as we do have the Dragoon range coming out, so gonna have that little SCV and Dragoon dance at the front of the map here, but we do have a machine shop right away as well. Looks like, wow, looks like we have a little bit of interesting play here. Starport coming up here for MadiNho, so going to have a potentially interesting little interaction here coming up. JayStar pokes that Dragoon in to check to see the timing on the CC. Doesn't see it quite just yet here, so maybe starting to feel like something's up. Not going to be familiar, I would assume, with MadiNho's playstyle though, so still the potential to be caught off guard here. Oh my gosh, and he pokes in once again. All right, alarm bell's starting to ring. Let's see what JayStar's response is going to be to that.
Well, no command center at 4 minutes. Something's definitely up. MadiNho had that scouting SCV alive, so he saw everything what JayStar was doing. But JayStar actually skipped the scout altogether, went for a Dragoon scout. So economically, he's in a very nice position. This Nexus is actually really fast. This Dragoon has retreated, got all the information it needed, basically. MadiNho is going to go for speed, not mines, which makes sense when you're going for drop. You really just need to get in and kill as many probes as you can. And looks like he's going to do a timing with this as well to distract the Dragoon. The Dragoon's at the front. And is there anything in the main? Looks like no. So I think JayStar is expecting something like an FD, strong FD, maybe a 2-fact, but not any kind of drop.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Of course, this is an extremely high variant strategy coming out of MadiNho. His game is going to be pretty much a make or break on the efficacy of this two-prong attack here. We do have the dropship out now. We are just waiting on filling it up real quick with a couple more vultures to make sure that this harassment gets done. We got 2 vultures in the pipe now, and with mines, of course, if these go completely undetected, can set up mines in front of the production and really do a serious amount of damage overall to everything going on here in the base. We do have 1 Dragoon down here in the bottom right of the main to potentially scout out for this. Oh my gosh, we have mines placed in between the Dragoons at the front of the map, and so the Terran army going to be able to get inside of this natural expansion and do potentially a ton of damage here.
Ooh, those mines do detonate. There's only 1 attack, but there's 1 mine gets killed by probes, and now the vultures in the main doing a lot of economic damage here. I mean, I think this has been a success for MadiNho. I really didn't expect it to get damage done at the front.
Wow, and these mines zoning off this Dragoon now. If he walks into this mineral line too far, we could even see a detonation on the probes in the main here. Looks like we do have the observer coming out though, so that's going to get taken care of. But look how long these vultures have just been sitting behind the mineral line doing damage to this probe count. And now with only 15 probes left on the map, MadiNho is in an excellent economic position here.
Yeah, and this command center is about to finish. You can see the work count for JayStar is really low. Dropship is still alive. I don't remember if the first tank was actually saved, because that's actually pretty big.
I would guess that it probably wasn't. Oh my god.
Okay, there it is.
Wow. And the hero comes home. Check that out. And if you saw Zero had actually highlighted the Dragoons there, and so many of them are so bruised up. What an excellent attack from MadiNho. Man, as you said, man, that unconventional MadiNho style, I think was just mind-breaking JayStar right here. Didn't even have any expectations for this going in here. Here comes the dropship once again. Don't think this one's going to get done, as we do have some sentry Dragoons here being placed in the main strategically to make sure that not too much gets done. Oh my gosh, but if we get a probe even.
Probe. Definitely worth considering where the Terran, where the Protoss is economically. Actually making Marines to load this bunker. The one weakness that we see in MadiNho's build is that he's very low on units. So he only has the 2nd factory now. His army is actually late, but he has a huge economic lead here. Although the 3 gateway production from JayStar is a concern, especially seeing those zealots. Maybe MadiNho saw zealots and he's thinking, oh, maybe he's gonna bulldog or do something.
MadiNho is so active on the map, getting these vultures out here to threaten to kind of run by. Gonna hop him now into the dropship and potentially drop him into the main once again. Gonna just try to keep this kind of like sizable Protoss Dragoon army on the back foot, keeping them back at home, making sure that he doesn't get busted here while he kind of leverages his now nice economic advantage. I can't believe that these are getting damage done. What is happening? There's 5 Dragoons in the main, and we're getting like 2 or 3 probes here. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
oh
even forcing Protoss to go forging cannons is a big win there for MadiNho.
Wow, what excellent play here. These greased up vultures just making it through an entire battalion of Dragoons as they get behind into the probe line once again doing damage. And yeah, I mean that's 150 minerals for a cannon in the main plus the pylon there. I mean, man, JayStar is really getting run around here. Looks like he has got only 1 probe left on gas there and no probes mining gas at natural. So I don't even know if he notices that, if that's intentional or not. But this could potentially be pretty catastrophic as not having. He's gonna run out of gas and just be like, why can't I build any tech?
Yeah, he's getting second gas now. I don't think he's noticed. And I noticed something though. MadiNho, actually, macro-wise, he's not been consistent with his SCV production, because earlier when his command center finished, he had like an 8-worker lead. He hasn't lost any, and he killed like 6 more. And all of a sudden, he's behind on workers. So definitely a misstep there. So even though he's ahead, he really should be dominating from all the economic damage he's done.
This 1 worker on gas though is ridiculous. Like, and we're talking Protoss is extremely gas reliant just in general. I'm actually a little surprised that JayStar is not recognizing what's going on. I almost feel like this attack, were not for the fact that we're killing a bunch of probes. It's a little unfortunate because now I think JayStar's gonna realize what's going on with his gas situation and put back on his main assimilator. But yeah, another impactful attack here in JayStar's main. This dropship is just getting so much value.
Now the next step, it's what's MadiNho's plan? Is this going to be a timing attack, or is this just going to be setting up for a third?
Alright, well, there is the third getting populated for the Protoss, but we do have first round of upgrades just finishing up here now for the Terran unit, so we will. I am a little curious to see what's going on. We do have a pretty surprisingly decent tank count now. We have Galaxy in production to, I mean, I would assume just kind of to deter any kind of, shuttle shenanigans again, as those Zealot drops in their first series were pretty impactful there. So I really do like seeing MadiNho hedge for that kind of issue, as he, I mean, it is really cool that he is making a concession to the potential for shuttle drops on his tanks this time. Oh my god, I'm getting more probes.
We actually have +2 started, so there must be a science facility somewhere. Don't know if we have the second army. Maybe that's the second army right there. Yeah, so MadiNho's just gonna go into upgrades, not in a hurry to go attack. I think he's also taking his third base, so he's playing for the long-term plan and really slowing down Protoss with this constant vulture harassment.
It is unfortunate though that that point he made earlier about MadiNho not really being on top of his SCV production quite as much as one would have hoped. He was at a pretty significant worker advantage now, and if he is deciding to go for like a 2-1 and getting that big upgrade timing and going for like a third base and all that, would have been pretty great to have a consistent worker advantage versus his opponent. But it's kind of funny. It feels like MadiNho has been working so hard with these vultures and the dropship and everything like that to kind of just stay even a little bit as far as the worker count goes. Of course, Terran really is pretty happy to be on even worker count once you got on 3 bases and all that. But it would have been very nice to just be able to maintain that worker lead and really accelerate him towards his 2-1 attack with a big chunk mech army a lot faster.
Because MadiNho is slow playing this, I actually think he probably wants to even double expand here, take the close bases near him, and just turtle until he has 3-2. I don't really see him in a rush to add additional factories. Oh, he's really slow playing this. More vultures getting in, more probes getting killed. This is ridiculous. We gotta see something like nearing 30 probes have been killed this game.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious. There's still cannons, and yet still we're seeing the vultures be productive. Like, one has to wonder, like what is MadiNho doing at his vulture training camps? Like, these guys are the literal best vultures.
I think Protoss is gonna go for big timing here. MadiNho turning away those vultures means you have very little in your army. He only has 4 factories for something like 8 gateways. And he is actually double expanding, so we see the 3rd and 4th going up.
That is a lot of territory to be able to, or to have to defend here. You know, luckily for MadiNho, there is essentially no aggressive tools other than the main army itself. So, you know, he doesn't really need to have his army incredibly spread out to deal with something like shuttles or anything like that. We do have, I believe, Templar Tech going to be the choice for the splash damage as this big army starts to come across the map here. But yeah, you're right. There is not too much meat to stand in front of the tanks right now. There is that small contingent of Goliaths, but as you said, he has been utilizing his vultures constantly throughout the game. So I am a little concerned with how this attack might go. But currently Protoss is still stuck, you know, dealing with the minefields and clearing a path across the map before any kind of attack can go. So MadiNho does have a little bit of time to build up additional meat for his army before the attack is arriving at his front door.
Yep, and 2-1, 2-1 about to finish. Armor is the only one that's there. It is 2-1. So 3-2 started, and Protoss doing something similar where they're going upgrades, but this time it's actually going to be for carriers. It's not going to be fake carriers. That's a lot of Stargates, and well, JayStar is kind of pinned because don't really see him moving forward to get anything done, and MadiNho is having these 4 bases already and 4 gas terran, and is going to be able to produce so many Goliaths to deal with the carriers that, especially with the upgrades they already have, it's not looking good for JayStar.
You know, and another thing is, like, I don't feel like the map architecture looks incredibly strong for carriers. There is a portion of space between like the natural and the third where carriers can kind of like bounce back and forth. But I mean, there's a lot of decently open space in the middle of this map for Goliaths to get really good engagements and everything like that with a large army of carriers as well. So I mean, how do you feel about the call for carriers? Is this like a, I mean, it looks like JayStar is fairly comfortable going carriers just in general, as we've seen it in 2 games in a row. It may not have been that it was like a quote-unquote fake carrier, but rather that he just decided not to go carriers after he saw the situation in that one game series that we had earlier today. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really enthused about the map architecture for carriers in this game.
Well, I feel like JayStar has to go now before MadiNho maxes out. He has really good upgrades already, so MadiNho's vultures in the middle of the map. A big attack going into the fourth of the Terran. That's getting right on top of the tank, but again, this is a very narrow ramp to have to go up.
Alright, we should be seeing the CC lift here, but the Zealots really gonna getting onto the tank army a bit uncontested.
They should have Storm.
Ooh, yeah.
Storm there on those tanks at the back. Zealots still at the front. Where the Dragoons? Dragoons really needed here to kill. It looks like they got stuck on the low ground, attacking from a different angle.
Oh, the classic Protoss issue. But man, the Storms though. He's hit like 4 Storms now on these nice clumped up tanks at the bottom of the ramp there. Not, unfortunately, having not enough to finish off that group of 3 right down there. But look at that. Successfully defended 4th base now. And we even have the information on the 4th for the Protoss as well. So those 2 vultures are really giving MadiNho a lot of good information. And now that that attack has kind of really not done its job here.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, double Arbiter. Or, well, I guess, yeah, I guess 1 Arbiter. Because that second Stargate isn't pumping out either. Do we already have an Arbiter on the field? I don't think so, right?
And going Arbiter on even bases against Terran is... Well, lucky for him, he actually got some SCVs with that big attack, even getting some more now. So MadiNho's worker count is actually pretty low, considering he's on 4 bases. JayStar really needs to keep expanding. In the end, that wasn't a terrible trade for him. I feel like he could have done more had he just rerouted his Dragoons to the high ground. And here we go. Big push coming from Terrans. Supplies are in Protoss' favor, but army supplies are basically identical. And of course, Terran has 3-2 upgrades.
Yeah, and, you know, 3-2 tanks, man, kind of a menace. They do about a bazillion damage here.
Although
look at how fast all the Dragoons are dead. This is just Zealots left here. Like, these are not gonna do enough damage to these very beefy tanks now. And look at that, the Protoss army completely disappears here. And now that, you know, 35 worker advantage not gonna count for very much when you have no units that can actually fight. And yeah, this is rough because the supplies are even with that huge worker differential, meaning we have like essentially no Protoss units left on the map here. We have a counterattack now going to the bottom right-hand corner, but I don't even know if this is enough. There's mines already. We have a couple Goliaths and things in the back of that base as well. This is not going to be enough to, I think, end this base here.
And
even if it is, yeah, does it really
has
matter?
a third elsewhere, and you can't really trade base for base against Terran when Terran's on even bases. Usually Chinesee Protoss has 2, 5, 6, 7 bases at this point. JayStar really only has 4, taking a 5th now. And the 4th is dead.
Yeah, it looks like the CC is even going to float away to safety as there are a bunch of tanks on the below ground down there. And look at this massive line of tanks. It's just a paltry early game number of units here to potentially make any kind of defense at these satellite bases. Wouldn't be surprised if MadiNho just goes into the natural at this point. Almost no reason to just go for that 3rd base there when, you know, the kill is basically ready to go. Man, that attack really making a huge difference here as MadiNho's work count really not going to be relevant for the rest of this game.
And now that supply lead Protoss has completely gone. Arbiter here, probably going to be a stasis. Yep, gets 4 tanks, so not a bad stasis. Maybe he'll be able to hold on here, but you can see MadiNho is still mining at that 3rd base, and these mech units with these upgrades, really hard for Protoss to engage.
Yeah, I mean, that stasis does delay, I think, the inevitable here. These units now running in, Zealots getting obliterated before they're able to do even a single attack on any of these tanks here. Nice defense matrix on the front tank as well to keep the strength of this army as good as possible during that engagement. And now there is a Zealot and a Dragoon just looking at this army like, what the heck are we supposed to do? So, an excellent game played by MadiNho. Very nicely done. Really enjoyed the games, man. I like the map Butter. Really quite a neat little map. A lot of fun going on there. But man, that main engagement, just like you said, where they got stuck on that bridge and those Dragoons were just like in that like little V, and they just got obliterated by the tanks, and that was really very unfortunate for JayStar.
Yeah, because he had really good Zealots on top of tanks. He had really good Storms, but he just didn't have the Dragoons behind that to kill the Command Center and clean up some Goliaths that were just being there. And then from there, just 3-2 with 4 bases, Terran just marched forward and got the kill. But earlier, it was really about the drops, the vulture harassment, just the constant mine laying, had a lot of map presence all game. JayStar really struggled to get a 4th base, and MadiNho did a really good job with his vultures.
Yeah, that was so surprising. Like we were way into the game. It was like 3 or 4 drops later. There were cannons. There were like 5 Dragoons in the main waiting for a drop, and he's still getting probe kills with 2 vultures at a time. It was insane. I cannot believe that he was able to do so much with his single drop ship. Like that was very, very impressive by MadiNho. He 100% deserves the win in that game.
Yeah, nice out there, and that'll even them up for today overall. But in this best of 3, that means MadiNho is going to have a 1-0 lead, 1 game away from the round of 16.
Yeah, if MadiNho was going to win one of the 2 series, I think the elimination one is the one that he wants to win for sure. So it's always a great way to get into a best of 3 here with a 1-0 lead. It gives you a lot of additional room for potentially making some decisions and taking some risks that you wouldn't normally take. MadiNho being such an unconventional player, JayStar really didn't look like he was ready for MadiNho's like relentless aggression and creativity.
Yeah, I agree. Really caught him off guard then. Well, that'll set us up for the 2nd game between these 2. It's going to be on good night. And we have in the top left, in the color blue, JayStar.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, spawning as the red Terran, we have MadiNho. I mean, I gotta say, this is an appropriately named map, as I do feel like we may be saying goodnight to JayStar in this tournament. Because, dang, dude, like, the more I think about it, the more I was like, dude, MadiNho really just won that game. Like, I know when I say that, it doesn't really sound like I mean anything, but like he actually, like the game, he was solidly in his hands, and he, exerted his agency to its maximum effect, right? It wasn't like some freak occurrence where something funny happened and he got a weird advantage. The entire time he made that game happen. The vulture harass was spectacular. Everything he was doing that entire game was it certainly looked like an outplay when we're talking about like how that game finished up. There was that unfortunate Dragoon incident So maybe the game would have panned out differently if the Dragoons had joined the fight, like, you know, at any point in the time. But even still, man, MadiNho, like, I feel like if he just plays his game again, he's gonna just outplay JayStar, because I don't think JayStar is ready to play against MadiNho. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and well, I gotta say, it would have looked different had that attack done more or damage. But even if it did, I feel like MadiNho was still in a good position overall.
Yeah,
like he had the
what did
upgrades. He
JayStar
had
do?
JayStar, I think he was gonna go for a time, but MadiNho had really good placement of mines, had a lot of time to see it coming. And I mean, remember, this was 4th factory, and then he took a 4th base, and JayStar really never got across the map until MadiNho was pretty well set up.
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole game was like, I feel like JayStar was just super passive. He didn't make anything happen the entire game, and MadiNho just got to play his game the entire time. If we see that, oh no, history of the chat. If we see that happen again, I just think MadiNho, because he's the assertive, active player, he's going to be able to make his game happen again. It was, I just feel like JayStar's game was too passive and he wasn't ready for it.
We're seeing something different finally from JayStar. He's gonna go for a zealot. And now we've seen MadiNho wall pretty often, but this time no wall. He does have the nice SimCity though, so a zealot, for a zealot to get in here, it can only go through the racks on the left side, and we have the deep-born racks there, so the Norwegian Micro. So I think he'll be fine.
Alrighty, looks like we're just seeing the same opener every time. You think that? Oh my gosh, I love it, dude. Oh man, this is great, dude. The Dragoons, oh, he has to see that, right?
Well, it looks like the Zealot actually got pretty bruised up and did absolutely nothing. So the Dragoon is going to retreat right away. And that's we're going to get the scouting information. This Nexus is actually not going to be delayed because JayStar is going for Goon range and he's made non-stop Dragoons. So the Nexus would go down at around 4 minutes anyway. Maybe like 4:05. And MadiNho gonna go bunker expand. Everything looking normal. 4 Marines, pretty big investment, but
I love this kind of play. I always love seeing players doing like everything they can to kind of like play inside of their opponent's heads. As unfortunately, eBay really, as you said, not going to do very much. But you know, it's another attempt at something that, and you know, you keep throwing out different things, and eventually one of them's gonna stick. Looks like we do have that Robo almost finished up here, and bunker expand, as you said, going down here in the natural expansion. Are you thinking we're gonna see anything weird from MadiNho? Or is he gonna play a pretty standard game at this point?
well, 1 Vulture. Sometimes we see 2 Vultures with mines, then tank. That's standard. You get a pretty fast armory that way. Sometimes we see more than 2 Vultures going to drop, which would definitely suit us style. We actually have 1 base obs from JayStar. This is not the ideal build order. Like, look how late this Nexus is compared to the command center timing.
Yeah, like a full minute.
So
And
there's very little compensation for Protoss when they go 1 base ob. He does have the worker lead, but again, 1 base ob's not. You get the fast robo for what? To see what Terran's doing, but what is Terran really going to be doing at this point? You can scout otherwise. But
dude, this is such a trauma build order though. This is like a, oh my god, what happened last game? I need to see what's going on type of build order. And I mean, that is such a great sign of how MadiNho just mentally picked apart JayStar in that last game. Because oh my gosh, like this is the safest thing that you could possibly think of as far as like, dude, what is this player gonna do to me type of build.
yeah, basically. And well, we'll see how this pans out. MadiNho is still going for siege pretty quickly. What's interesting is his armory timing has been pretty late these games. Like, he's really investing in like fast siege, all these turrets. So he's expecting something like one base Reaver maybe. But this is just one base obs, and look how prepared he is for drop this time around.
Oh my
Goons
gosh.
camping in the main, observer there to spot mines, pylons everywhere. Like,
I really
JayStar's not gonna die the same thing twice.
I honestly hope that JayStar makes it deep into this tournament, because it sounds like he's gonna need the prize money to pay for therapy sessions to get over this last series. Because dude, this is, I feel like he's like going to sleep at night now thinking of MadiNho and Vultures getting to his main. This is such a trauma build. Like, we're just building obs. Can obs shoot? I don't think obs can attack anything, man.
Vulture at the third, trying to slow that third base down. MadiNho is just going siege now, getting a turret ring. This many turrets, maybe it's for a 5-fact or something like that, because this is an excessive amount of turrets. Especially, well, maybe he hasn't seen the observer flying to his main, because that's kind of like positioned far away from his command centers where you're usually looking. Ooh, almost gets that probe.
Man, this obs is just hanging out in the main, though. A little unfortunate that I didn't get seen, but we do have upgrades being highlighted by our wonderful observer Zero. So we are going to be looking for, you know, to head more into the late game, I would assume.
Man, there's so many observers.
He sees everything.
Literally. Usually you only make 3, right? Because you have 1 in the turn base, 1 at the front, and then 1 with your Dragoons. But this is like something like 5 reserves. We are taking a third. MadiNho going up to 3 fact, getting +1. +1 from JayStar. He really likes to get the early forge to get upgrades, which is pretty good, I gotta say. You want upgrades even if you're prioritizing teching. But another turret for MadiNho. Let's what is this turret? It wants to be an add-on really badly.
There we go.
Ooh, wants to get that observer. Looks like the turret's gonna push it into the range of another one. So when you don't have scanning Goliaths, you kind of invent a way to kill the observer.
Right. Oh, the mines.
Nice pylon wall here.
Sees the third.
Yeah, this is something we didn't see last game. Butter, not a great map to get pylon walls in, but Good Night much better for that. And let's see what MadiNho's follow-up is. It's okay, Starport, so he's just gonna get more upgrades, and JayStar has the third base up. His tech is gonna be Arbiters. Just straight up Arbiters.
We'll have to see. Again, like, going into kind of this portion of the game, though, I just don't feel like JayStar, I don't know, the Arbiters didn't seem to be like a great tech choice last time. Of course, he is not in the same situation. He's not nearly as much on the back foot as far as the economy goes. But I mean, he's been, I don't know. I feel like Arbiter in this mid game after MadiNho's shown to be such a strong player, and that he's been already invested so much into these early obs and getting nothing really done so far. It seems kind of an interesting play. I'm trying to go for like a standard.
Usually when you go 2 base arbs, you actually delay your third gas quite a bit. But I think because he made all these observers, he's gonna need that extra gas. You can see he basically has no gas after starting his first Arbiter production. He should be switching into Zealots now so he can produce out of those gateways and produce out of Stargate at the same time. And he's looking to have a sizable army here, and we haven't seen any attempt for MadiNho to get a third. And he always goes +1 on the Cybernetics core, +1 weapons. So this to me doesn't indicate anything right now, but it leaves the potential for a drop or a switch to carriers later. We have another drop here. It looks like only 1 vulture gonna get near the probes. Got 1 probe, 2 probes. Can he get a third? Nice on mine's third probe. Probably gonna get a 4th here. So definitely worthwhile. I think that was only 3 vultures. Gets 4 probes.
JayStar is still not replacing his probes on the gas yet, though. What if we have another situation? Okay, there we go. I was gonna say, if we have a situation again like in that other game where they're just on that on the single probe on gas for the longest time, that would be really terrible for his game plan going on here. Because as you said, he's already pretty starved for gas.
What is these pylons at 12 o'clock? It's like a double pylon wall, 2 layers. We're not. No vultures getting in here. Nice mines, kill some of the zealots, but MadiNho's still no command center. So, I mean, this is pretty all in.
I love MadiNho's use of dropships, man. He's always the proactive player in these games.
Okay, so this makes more sense. Third setup, getting those upgrades. There's gonna be a moment where JayStar is maxed and MadiNho is at like 130 supply, where he's a little bit vulnerable to a bust. Again, you're trading vultures for probes, so that means the zealots become more powerful. But we haven't seen JayStar really advance his units across the map. He's more concerned with just defending, which is fair.
I feel like his Dragoon count is also not particularly significant yet. Like, I mean, yes, the Zealots will be significantly more powerful due to the fact that there is not too many units on the map, but there's still such a great little tank count here.
I'm looking at the mini-map. I want to see if those Zealots ever move, because this is definitely the window for JayStar. Looks like they're finally moving. We're just setting up power keys. He's going to go for that one stasis timing, I think. He's got to really start heading across the map, and it's going to be into a carrier switch. So, okay, that's why you got that early +1. It all makes sense here. And +1 armor as well. But still no movement from the Zealots. So I'm a little bit perplexed. You really want to hit a timing with your Arbiter before Terran like starts getting close to that max supply.
Yeah, and he's done so much to clean up all the mines and everything in the middle of the map. Like it's like all indications seem to be that he wants to move out. But yeah, as you said, he's just giving MadiNho time to continue to build up his army.
MadiNho taking a fourth pretty fast here. Again, not a lot of units to cover all this terrain, but if you keep the Protoss occupied, dealing with your vultures, dealing with the mines, then you can get away with this. And, well, Protoss is near maxed, and that scan doesn't actually see anything useful.
Oop.
So this still looks... I mean, is this actually a recall then? Because he's banking up energy on this Arbiter. And the units are grouping up. This is definitely looking like a recall. So this, I completely get it now. This is why he's been so conservative with his units. Can't reveal the Arbiter positioning. I mean, MadiNho should expect, with the early Arbiter and no bust, there should definitely be a recon coming. And this is actually pretty scary because the follow-up to this is going to be carriers off 3 or 4 Stargates. Turrets going up but no mines in position. Looks like the Dragoons are actually going to kill this.
Oh man, this is
here
really
comes
cool.
a recall.
We have a bunch of turrets coming up, but it looks like it's going to be just a little bit too late to stop the recall from happening here in the main. And here it is. Big old recall, tons of Zealots and a good number of Dragoons make it into the main now. Units have been pulled a little bit off to defend the third as well, so we do have a drop in the main though, but that's not going to do too much since Vulture's not particularly great at killing buildings.
Interesting is starting at the factories. You really want to target the depots so that Terran can't produce a lot of Goliaths. And then you have these 3 and then 6 carriers, and then Terran has a really tough time dealing with that composition when they can't just mass Goliaths. So Recall did a really good job here. Might even get the science facility, which is actually pretty annoying. Can he get the armory? Armory would be absolutely huge here. It's burning, but he's not targeting it. 2 Zealots are nearby hitting a depot. Oh man, this armory might survive here. Again, armor upgrades.
Being able to make Goliaths.
I mean, that's his second armory, I think, right? That's not the first one.
Oh yeah, bottom left. That's right. That's correct.
But critically, against carriers, you need both upgrades. You need weapons and armor. Without armor upgrades, your units die that much faster. But of course, getting 1 armor upgrade is like defending 8 health per round of attacks. Each interceptor is affected individually. And here we go. There's a carrier switch already in play. The recall did a really good job, but MadiNho is completely prepared. He has a lot of lives. Maybe he lost a factory or 2. It looked like he only had like yeah, he lost one factory. So not a huge loss, but of course everything hurts at this point. And we have another Arbiter. Is this going to be another recall? Can he tank the turret fire with the interceptors and then fly in? This looks like what JayStar wants to do here.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Well, in the meantime, MadiNho actually moving out, but this could backfire. Oh man, where's the Arbiter? There's the Arbiter.
They're going in. Oh no. Oh my god.
Huge recall here. What is MadiNho gonna do with his army? Looks like he's just gonna march forward.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, it wasn't a recall into the main, so he can definitely make a defense here at the top of the ramp with his tanks and all that. Of course, the problem is that the carriers ain't gonna be able to really significantly change how that would otherwise play out. We do have a drop in the top right-hand corner with 2 tanks, so that is pretty devastating. Going to be able to take that base out pretty much completely. But I don't know how do you defend all these carriers right here at your main? It's really the big question, because the carriers eventually need to be dealt with, right? Like, even if we're in this base race situation, carriers have to get taken care of, because otherwise, you know, once your factories are gone, you can't produce any Goliaths here. With so many tanks taking up all of this supply, there's not really, I mean, I don't think that there's much of an opportunity for MadiNho to execute this base race.
Yeah, so he's killing 1. He's probably gonna get 12. He might get the natural, but the carriers, how do you deal with them? How do you deal with the carriers?
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many of them already. He's losing everything. He doesn't have Goliaths. The main army only has like 8 Goliaths.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to maybe pull the carriers back with the army, start infrastructure in the bottom right or something, and like kill like almost all of these bases. Otherwise, I don't know how MadiNho does anything here.
Well, he actually did a really good job. He killed both Nexuses. These probes have nowhere to mine. But again, like, you see he's going remaking, but Protoss doesn't really care. Protoss is basically maxed. The army from Protoss can't be killed. There's only 6 Goliaths here. That's the real nail in the coffin, because he's lost all his factories. I mean, he could kill all the bases he wants. Protoss still has the carrier fleet, and even with only 17 probes, there's just no way for Terran to kill enough interceptors that this will matter.
You know what would be really cool though? It would be like just a ton of barracks at this point. I feel like I mean, how do you? I think it's the only response you can't do. You can't go for Goliaths now. You know what I mean?
Can't go Goliaths. But the thing is, there's still a large standing army on the ground for. Look at that. That's so many Dragoons.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a little unfortunate here, I think. Maybe if some of the additional tanks were saved or something like that, and you could kind of like chill out. But this was a really awesome game played by JayStar, really turning the tables on MadiNho here. I loved the recalls, both of them. First one, of course, excellent, really set him up really well for the carrier play, and then having that having the interceptors, as you said, tank the turrets, and really allowing for that second recall into the natural expansion to allow for him to clear out the main and the natural and really just destroy the infrastructure of MadiNho. What an excellent game here by JayStar this time.
Yeah, really well done there. Just a good streamline of the strategy. You go Arbiter, only to go recall to buy time for your carrier switch. So that early +1 absolutely critical. And then that second recall as Terran is moving out just did so much damage. And there's a GG from MadiNho.
Could you imagine though if he had started with like a Reaver or something like that instead of like 4 ops, and that game started off even worse for MadiNho? That would have been just a slaughter. I mean, JayStar really playing very, very well this game though. MadiNho not doing, I would say he wasn't super proactive this game. Wasn't able to get nearly as much done, of course, as last game. But even still, it was looking pretty good for quite a while there, and just the carriers really doing a lot of work there at the end, especially after that recall. Because that first recall was so very successful and really set up JayStar for a great game.
Yeah, really nice build from JayStar. And again, we saw MadiNho when he just sits back and isn't as proactive. JayStar had a much more comfortable game, played a lot more calmly, and really got to do what he wanted instead of the other way around.
Yeah, so I mean, I am personally hoping, since we're going to game number 3, that we see MadiNho again. be a little more aggressive, because JayStar does seem to be a player who might be a little bit more susceptible to constant aggression, maybe something a little more creative and trying to throw off his game plan. Because as you saw, if it goes to JayStar's plan, he is quite a strong player when it comes to being very comfortable with it. I'm sure MadiNho's got build orders to spare as far as different ways that he could be annoying and potentially throw JayStar off. So we'll have to see how he plays game number 3 and what he can do to maybe shake things up a little bit.
Yep, and well, I guess they call him MadiNho because he has all these crazy builds set up, right? And I expect him to play more like game 1 than game 2.
JayStar really showing a propensity for going for that carrier switch. I really like how every game is constantly setting up by getting those upgrades really early and planning for the post arbiter phase to go into carriers. That seems to be his kind of modus operandum. I wonder if MadiNho is going to notice that was the case, but we will have to go ahead and see as we're going over to Monopoly next.
Well, in the bottom middle spot, bottom left spawn, we have our red Terran MadiNho.
In the top left-hand corner, as that blue Protoss, we do have JayStar.
And it's a good point to mention that +1, it doesn't really cost almost anything, right? It's only 100, and you get that to potentially go carriers, but it's not big investment for Protoss to do that, so it's just a good play to get it, whether or not you go carries or not. It's just having that already really gets the ball rolling on a later carrier switch. Because if you don't get it and then you go for carriers, then all of a sudden your carriers are lacking upgrades, they don't trade as well. So it just makes sense.
Now, I don't think I've seen too many games on this map here, but I have to say, man, who looks at this like weird triangle map and goes, you know what, that's Monopoly. That reminds me of Monopoly. Like, you know what I mean? What is Monopoly about this map? Tell me one thing. I don't get it.
I don't. Well, maybe the word monopoly, what does it actually mean when you monopolize something? The fact that the middle is an island, right? Maybe one player can only have control of that, so you're monopolizing that area.
The island monopoly. I see. Okay.
That's the only thing I can imagine.
I'm into it. I like the theory. I mean, that's the best one we're gonna get. I mean, so, yeah. But I just, these map conventions. Alrighty, well, same thing. No exciting, crazy build orders yet going on here. We got our barracks and our gas, and then we got our gateway and our gas, and everything's going just real normal way. If you're MadiNho, though, do you take a lesson from game number 2 and make a big kind of funky decision here? Because I'd certainly be like, okay, well, game number 1 we won because we were annoying the crap out of them. Game number 2 I didn't do anything annoying, and we lost. So it's time to be annoying again. And if so,
definitely.
We're gonna see a dropship again, I'm assuming.
Oh, we have something proxied. Yeah, this is already a little bit spicy. And MadiNho is gonna see there's no second pylon. Should trigger alarm bells. Now, this doesn't always indicate something's going on, but it definitely means there's no second pylon in the main and it's elsewhere. So already cause for concern here. And MadiNho going for the nice Sim City. No goon range, but goon range could start now, but it's a citadel and it's proxied, and well, it could be +1. You gotta go +1 air as a fake. Yep, there it is.
All right, what is MadiNho gonna do in response to this? It's gonna be a very quick game if things don't get
what? The SCV is so close.
That's so sad.
Well, if you were naming a map, what would be a cool name, Doc? Proxy Factory, this is the worst. Okay, so both players up to shenanigans here.
What a game, dude. Well, this Dark Templar is going to be a very happy boy. I think it's crazy that Dark Templar is even an option versus Terran when you think like how good mines and how standard they are to get.
Well, nothing at the front, so JayStar, maybe he's thinking, okay, there's a high ground command center. Why isn't he going bunker? Like, all these things are going into his mind. Maybe he's going one base drop, but he's not hiding it really well. What's going on here? But he's not gonna care because, oh, he's even getting a scout. Okay, but this is a double-edged sword, because now MadiNho's wondering, why is this probe randomly coming from this angle? There's got to be something there. Vulture starts right away, so MadiNho should definitely know something's up. The thing is, like, who's better off here? What is this upgrading at the factory? This is absolutely key here, because
if this is
mines, he has a chance, but that's a second tank being produced.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a, I mean, we might have a Vulture in time. We'll see. There goes the second tank. Vulture's gonna come out. Nope, probably not. Dark Templar's so fast, man. They got the Nikes on.
His one DT at the front is gonna be able to hold back the push. He's gonna be poking away at these Marines. Nope, just gonna go straight directly.
Oh, he doesn't show it. I think that's maybe the right call, because you can take a little damage and wait for your next Dark Templar to come out, and this doesn't give away the ruse. So the Dark Templar at the front of MadiNho's base is gonna get in here, and he has no alarm bells. There's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. The factory's not even blinking. Instantly,
oh my God.
GG's.
Wow. What a game, man.
Looks like Zero doesn't have detection to see us.
It's true.
There we are.
I'm Dark Templar Doc Holiday, man.
Well, and that's, I mean, that's a way to go out of the BSL. But
yeah,
that second pylon, definitely you should be looking for that as Terran. That's like one of the key things. And MadiNho had no sense that was going on. Proxy that factory, and it's really hard from that scenario. Like, that second tank, had it been a Vulture, it would have been rallied anyway. He would have had to plant in mines at his ramp to just defend.
MadiNho, though, looking really impressive with how high APM that GG was. That Dark Templar hit one time and it's over. It's just like replay's done. Instant reaction, man. Could you? Oh man, I was. Could you imagine though? Instead of second tank, he just puts down 2 mines. That one Dark Templar goes.
Know, because he went into the net. That's when you realized Protoss was doing something. Just knew too late, and the proxy fact really backfired there. It just didn't have any way to defend the DT, and that means MadiNho is out, and JayStar is gonna advance alongside Kid into the round of 16. And
man, the Chinese players today looking great, dude. Kid especially, I think, looked super duper solid. I don't know, after seeing JayStar play today, I don't know. I don't really feel like he's got the chops maybe to compete against the absolute tippy top mega foreigners that everyone loses to all the time. But I mean, Kid's play looked really solid today. I think he's got a decent chance of going pretty deep, man.
Yeah, I agree. JayStar, while he does look strong, he doesn't look like to be the top contender or any of the top contenders on that level, but looked strong enough to get into round 16. And unfortunately for CadenZie and MadiNho, it's gonna have to be next time. But yeah, that'll do it. Another couple of Chinese players advancing into round of 16, and well, that leaves us just with 2 groups to cover next weekend. There we go. We have the famous Gypsy, LX, Quark, and Jayun. So pretty stacked group. And Oya, Gosu, Dark Jiren, and how do I pronounce this? Chin?
Yeah.
Chin? Yeah.
Yep.
So another great group. So a couple of groups coming up that are really, really stacked.
Yeah, I feel a little sad for the foreigners that we had today. I always love to see kind of community members move on, but glad to see that the Chinese players really able to cut it with some of the best players out here in the scene. I had a lot of fun casting with you today, man, and thank you so much, of course, Zero, for observing with us too. Guys, please make sure to check out that BSL Patreon again, and please, consider making a contribution or supporting the scene, because Zero's out here working really hard to try and make quality StarCraft content for you guys to enjoy. Thanks so much to Esports Fun. There he is, the man himself. Thanks so much to Esports Fun and Optimum for helping us be able to put this on for you guys, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys showing up. We have 430 viewers right now, which is a pretty crazy amount of people to be watching StarCraft, so thank you all for showing up, and I love every single one of you, and thanks for the opportunity to cast for you guys.
Yep, and we'll be back again next weekend with another 2 groups ready for you guys to watch and devour. And well, BSL just keeps on going. This is going to be BSL15 Ro24 concluding next weekend, and I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I mean, just seeing the new influx of players is always good, and the viewers, everything you do helps. If it's not a direct monetary contribution, just watching and sharing, getting as many people to watch as possible will help. And the idea here is just to grow and keep growing and have more BSLs, more tournaments, more events, more players.
Yeah, guys, and I hope you guys all have a great week. We'll see you next weekend, and for all those in Ukraine, I hope you guys all stay safe and healthy, and our thoughts go out to you all.
All right, bye guys, see you all next time.